You know the drill. Just holler whenever.
I'm ready to go when you are.
All right. We'll wait until it's live. Give it a second. Let me know when you're on Twitch, and I'll start the count.
Twitch is up. Ready when you are. Godzilla, Star Trek, and The Expanse. All of this and more. And Chakaros Yokana no Kretok, Chakaros Yokana no Kretok, Chakaros Yokana no Kretok, Cho Machbach Cho Tupogak. Happy birthday.
We are. I've never been serenaded in Klingon before. Thank you, Ross.
You're very welcome.
Wow. Well, that means it must be January 29th in the year of our Lord 2021, or as I like to call it, 2020 Part 2. Which means I'm just
don't be one of those guys.
You're of the common era, Carlos.
Yes, that's a good one. The common era. I think that was a slam. Anyway, so welcome to the Real SuperGeeks special Carlos birthday edition. This was a weird week, and we're going to talk about a lot of the weirdness. So thank you for joining us, and let's quick go round robin and check in on my fellow hosts and see how we all survived the winds that buffeted the world this week. So we will start off with our returning guest, Raul the Baul. Raul, welcome back.
Oh, I'm on the big screen now.
Yes, you are. You get special treatment there.
We've upgraded.
I thought you should have gone first, but anyway, I'm okay. I'm doing all right. This week has been rather fruitful.
Well, that's good, right? Fruitful?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So welcome back, and we'll be happy to have the benefit of your point of view reflected on the show again. So great. Next up is, and let's find out where she is this week, Sun Seal. Sun?
Well, I decided to head back to my natural habitat for the most part, so I'm back underwater.
Yeah.
Just
I
like
thought
my
we were going to
mortgage.
see a Girls Gone Wild video.
Is that some kind of research center behind you?
Actually, no. Well, yes and no. It's
the CDC.
It's a deep sea research facility that also has the world's largest magnetic rail gun used for launching objects into space. This place is called Pathos 2.
That seems like an appropriate
Used
name
to launch objects into space from the ocean floor?
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
Aren't you guys are not heartless romantics, I can tell.
It's a lot cheaper than using rocket fuel.
Yes.
Yeah,
And a
but
lot more cost effective. And a
the
lot
drag.
more
Yeah, what a
No,
drag.
it's magnetic rail.
You still got water drag.
No,
It's
not
science.
Not inside the rail gun. You're using the water to keep everything cool.
Okay.
You guys think too much into this shit.
Oh my god.
Who here routinely writes 30
Shut the hell
30 whatever articles? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
5 paragraph.
So I guess that means the next person we need to hear from is Lane and his pet Travis. Travis, of course, is the one of the moderators of Facebook's largest Star Trek group. Lane, welcome to my birthday edition of the Super Geeks podcast. And how is Travis this week? Has he been treating you okay?
Of course he has.
Of course.
I don't treat Lane bad. He's my buddy.
How does he treat you, though, Travis?
He lies.
He treats me.
What's
Then
it
you
like?
do.
What?
I've had those relationships too.
I actually after work today, I actually wanted to try and find like a party center just so I can get him a little party hat for the Carlos thing, but unfortunately I kind of spaced that. So sorry.
Well, I appreciate the thought.
And before I forget, I will go ahead and say, if you haven't done so already, take a moment to remember the 7 souls that we lost 35 years ago yesterday from the Challenger. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that was my first year of working at the Associated Press. And since the commander of the shuttle was from here in Washington State, I actually had some of my writing went into the, big roundup that the AP did on the Challenger explosion. It was a long day. Great. So let's check in next on Ensign Beard Fasse, who finally, as a birthday present to me, got the right accent over the E in his name instead of using that E apostrophe.
That
now
really
it's a truly
triggers
accented
Carlos.
E. Thank you, Jason Kovalik, aka.
And remember, everybody, that's what triggers Carlos. So if
Yes.
you want to mess with him, just use poor grammar.
Or rip off millions of dollars from fan film donors.
that'll get me too. Jason, how you doing this week?
Oh, it's been a fun week.
I think you need to tell us what happened this very evening with that super tot of yours.
So I was came upstairs to get ready, for the pre-show, and my BitLocker was locked on my laptop.
Yes.
My kid had locked me out. I had to.
Your 10-year-old kid.
My 10-year-old kid, and so fortunately for me, I've got the bootlocker code, so I was able to get in. But still, it was really, really annoying. And he unplugged my monitor, and I have no idea, like the power cord, which is.
What was he thinking? Has he explained himself?
No, because
Did he work for the Russians?
I don't know, maybe.
I was going to say he has a brilliant career in the CIA.
Yeah, so
He's a kid. They never think about anything. Oh, what's this? Life support? Unplug.
Don't ever give him ideas, Travis.
Yeah, really. Don't let him anywhere near your hospital bed, Jason.
Jason is getting older. Yes, the good
I am.
reminder.
I'm getting the vaccine on Monday.
Oh, yeah. Good for you.
Sweet.
So do let us know if you
Congrats.
grow another head or any weird things on your
So
body.
now I got to make a paper
Second dose,
mache head for
man.
next Friday.
That's the
Guys,
second dose.
You guys are all wrong. The vaccine just, it injects a barcode into your body. That's all it does.
5G, man.
It's true. So
5G
Bill Gates can
transmitters.
keep track of you wherever you go.
Sweet.
We're really kidding. Please don't ban us, Facebook.
For all the algorithms that are listening, we are joking.
It's a
We
joke.
are using humor
Humor.
to diffuse the horror that is day-to-day life.
Yes,
Yes.
we know it's not.
Wear a fucking mask, please. Real talk.
Speaking of horror, let's hear from, we like to call him the Eyebrows of Doom, and you get to listen to his mellifluous voice at the beginning of each podcast. Ross Bullock, how are you doing this week?
Doing pretty good overall. Week 2 of school is going pretty well. Caught up on everything that I missed over the snow days, although snow day was both good and bad. Winter storms, not fun. We got another one coming this weekend, so yay.
Well, I'm glad you survived.
Oh, man, that's right.
Yeah, are you getting one too in Denver?
Well, we had one earlier this week, and it got so cold that my battery to my car actually bit the dust.
Ooh.
My roommate came and jumped me, but yeah, a few days ago, I actually
He jumped you.
shut up. You know what I'm talking about. He jumped my car.
Oh, we know what you're talking about.
Did you
We know.
enjoy it?
hate
I
you
had those
all.
college days too.
Anyway, yeah.
Don't tell
I
kids.
had to. Yeah, I dropped like $170 on a new battery. So, yay!
Well, there you get it. All right. Well, let's see. I think all we have to hear from now is our stalwart producer, Justin Burton. Justin, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. It's new lighting setup, as you see. It's
Indeed.
finally got everything all set up.
Very
and going.
bright.
Yes, and multicolored. Yay. Yeah, it's been an interesting week. We had a bit of a snow deal here too, but of course, it's the first time it snowed here in a while, so they totally overblew everything, and it didn't even cover the ground.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, hey, I guess it is what it is. But yeah, other than that, good week.
All right, awesome. Well, let's jump into our topics for the week. We've got, good Lord, a slew of them. Let's start out with I'm calling it the trailer that rocked the world, because it was actually kind of awesome and controversial at the same time. That, of course, is Andrew. That, of course, wait till we get into our territory, Andrew. You're gonna have to cover your ears, or we'll have to tell your mom. The Godzilla versus King Kong trailer dropped this week and generated a lot of buzz, a lot of controversy, a lot of guessing about what it is people think they saw in that trailer. Let's find out who watched it, what they thought, and
Mechagodzilla,
whether or not that theory holds any water. Let us start with our guest, Raul the Baul.
Oh, terrible! You can tell Carlos is Hispanic because of my family's hand signals going on. Yes, I did not watch the trailer. I'm sorry. You can now skip past me.
Okay. Then we will go to the head conspiracist himself. That would be stalwart Justin. Justin, explain yourself. With your mic.
You're muted, sir.
God bless him. All right, if you look on the trailer, there's two scenes, and if you look closely, where you see the Mecha Godzilla rising up as the people are coming down the stairs, and then again you see it.
It's in the Trello card. Can you put it up on the screen, you or Jason?
Jason probably be better off to do that.
Okay.
I swear
You keep talking.
Jason is gone.
No.
Jason
who killed
died.
Jason? Who
I
killed
did.
Jason?
I told his kid to unplug his. You guys saw this coming.
Yeah, Super Tot Silas is behind.
All right, hold
I
on.
think.
Let me see.
His kid is secretly Baby Boss.
No kidding. His kid is like super genius.
Okay, so while you find that, who else wants to jump in on this? Ross?
There's a lot to unpack in this trailer. Of course, when you get two big monster franchises that are going to come together and duke it out, there's the kind of excitement that was fun when these movies were a bit more pulpy, a bit more campy, and just a bit more lighthearted than how serious we're taking it now. That's not a bad thing. Serious action movies can be fun too, and the spectacle of this looks like a lot of fun. But I'm on board with the Mechagodzilla theory. There are a couple indications, but if that's the case, this makes me think we're getting a mirror of the original Mechagodzilla movie, and that means King Kong is King Caesar.
Well,
King Caesar.
Stop it.
Hey!
Yeah, I know.
Travis, you're not a fan?
I am
Who can
not.
be?
Look, I have been a Godzilla film. I've been a Godzilla fan for I'd say
fan film.
No, I've been one for about 20 years now, and
Isn't that basically your entire life?
shut up. I'm 30. Damn it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so almost your entire life.
Look, I have quite a few Godzilla films down in the basement right now. I have about 20 of the 30 something films there are, and I mean, they can be fun. I am fairly certain that if I'm ever a father, kid will dig the crap out of them, and I dig some of them still. I know that this is kind of an unpopular opinion, but I personally really liked the 2014 movie. I thought the story was very fun. I thought that the Godzilla appearances were impactful. yeah, there was there wasn't as much as some people would have liked, but when he was on screen, you felt his presence, and it was brilliant. Like, I really like what they did with that film. King of Kong Skull Island, I had a lot of fun with as well. It's very campy, action packed, and just very lighthearted entertainment, and really just like I love the cast of that movie, for crying out loud. King of the Monsters, I enjoyed it, but the story was terrible and the characters were forgettable. And after that, I kind of started to worry, because like I know that I'm very much in the minority on this stance, but I do want a good story in my Godzilla films. And it is possible. You've got the original 1954 film, you got Godzilla 1984, you got Godzilla versus Destroy. All those are really good stories. Like, they're really, really fun. And like, I looked at this trailer and I was just, I don't see it. I'm very nervous. And when to the theories like Mechagodzilla and whatnot, like, I don't give a rat's ass about Mechagodzilla. Like, he had 2 good movies. The others are just bollocks, in my opinion. And I just don't really like. I really kind of dig the serious tone of this universe, and Mechagodzilla just doesn't fit that. Giant mechs don't fit that. Like, that's more Pacific Rim territory, which is a fun movie, but it's not serious, and it knows that, and it takes itself lighthearted, and it's a fun movie that way. But
it's a Godzilla movie.
I don't care.
It can't be any worse than the 1998 movie.
That's a good monster movie. It's not a good Godzilla movie.
With Raymond Burr.
And I will watch that over Godzilla any fucking day.
You didn't like
Godzilla's Revenge. Godzilla's Revenge is the one I hated.
Listen. If the movie in 30 years doesn't deserve to be riffed on, a la MST3K style, it's not a good movie. It's not a good Godzilla movie.
Then Godzilla's Revenge. I once again cite you, Godzilla's Revenge. Go watch that and tell me that it's a better movie than Godzilla 1998. I dare you.
He dares me, Jose.
All that said, Screen Rant of all things, posted theory that if they go this route, I will be livid, because oh my god, like,
is it too late to pay the producers to go this route?
Probably.
Please don't tempt fate.
Cinema Blend, another
film on Twitter, and we'll see what we can do.
So they theorized. They looked at the scene from King of the Monsters, and they said, like, oh, the villain was, he was buying the corpse of Ghidorah, so we're gonna see Mecha King Ghidorah. And I was like, oh, fuck me, please don't. Please don't. Like, I will take Godzilla over Mecha King Ghidorah. Good fucking grief.
I have to agree with Andrew Schmidt's comment here, which is I am also a big Rodan versus Mothra fan. I loved Rodan.
It's all about Gamera.
Really good
Gamera. Gamera is really neat. He is filled with turtle meat. We all eat Gamera.
Disowned by his creators of the last movie.
What is happening?
All right, real talk, guys. Like, the Gamera trilogy of the 1990s is actually really, really good. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen those 3 films, they are well worth your time if you're a kaiju fan. I mean it. Like, go check them out.
From the interesting.
Listen, if Joel Hudson isn't there, I'm not watching the Godzilla movie.
I don't think Joel's going to be there.
By the way, son, I must compliment that your avatar is non-flashy and seizure-inducing now.
Yeah, I know. It's what having better processing capability is. Right?
Indeed. Yes, we meant to ask you, son. You're joining us this week with your brand new computer setup. How is it working?
It's working good so far. I've gone for 48 plus hours now without it blue screening of death, like the other new computer did.
That's very good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I
Well,
wound up with
congratulations.
9 different error codes for blue screens of death that repeated one after the other before I took it back.
Never
Oh,
thought there
my
would be a
goodness.
Super Geeks episode where I
And that
ranted
was
more
within
about
the first
Godzilla than I
12
did Star
hours
Trek.
of owning it. So
Okay,
Oh,
so let's do a quick. I'm sorry. Were you going to
I
finish?
do
son?
want to say that
Mhm.
I feel like the only person that likes the '98 film.
Like I said, I actually kind of dig it as a monster movie. It's really fun. It's not written the best, but I can watch it and I can enjoy it. I just have to say, like, this isn't Godzilla. Like, it's not a good Godzilla movie. But I dig it for what they tried to do with it.
You
I think it
sound- you
actually
sound like one
98
of the-
Godzilla is like Battlefield Earth.
no, it's
Oh,
definitely
no.
not.
No,
It was
actually,
not.
the novel is one
For
of the
one
best
thing,
science
the-
fiction novels ever. The film is terrible though because it was made by the fans.
See,
It was also in
and
development.
See, that's
hell
all you
for
need to
20
know.
years.
the way the '98 movie plays out. See, most of Godzilla movies are it's how do I describe this? The human interaction in a Godzilla movie is meant to mainly explain what's going on, not to be the focus of the movie.
Indeed.
And in
You're
the
right.
'98 film, that's the opposite. The human perspective is the sole focus of the movie, with Godzilla being the monster.
And that's also my gripe about the Transformers movies.
I have
Raymond
heard-
Burr had the best. Raymond Burr had the best beard though in all Godzilla movies. Sorry.
Like I said, the '98 Godzilla movie I think is a fun movie. It's just like I really like the score for one thing.
It's a
I think
really
that-
good musical score, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, like the title sequence alone is brilliant. Like that is a really damn good title sequence. But like, I also enjoy. I do kind of dig the whole like basketball arena sequence. There's some silly comedy that does tickle my funny bone. A lot of it's kind of cringy, but there is some stuff that does tickle me.
Like that whole we're going to rip off aliens and have Madison Square Gardens just be an egg field.
Yeah.
That was fun.
How does Lane feel about Godzilla?
How do you feel about Godzilla?
He's being choked out by a inner tube.
That's his neck.
No, that's
His
his
neck.
that is
Oh.
definitely his. That's part of the design.
Don't forget,
All
he
right,
has
all right.
the little fins over here too. I
Yes,
love
he does
those,
have-
the blue
yeah,
fins.
Little blue fins. All right, biology lesson here. Weasels, like Lane here, they have a little collar on their neck, and it helps them float. And basically,
We
the
can't
Pokedex.
swim.
No, they can swim just perfectly. Like his tail, the little split end tail back here, actually spins like a propeller, and propels
you
them through the water. And well, the collar keeps them afloat, and they look for prey that way.
There you go.
Biology talk over.
Propulsion plus buoyancy equals dinner.
Yes.
That's my personal philosophy as well.
It also means being a submarine, right, Ross?
Yes.
Well, I get that. She goes on to the next thing about Subway getting sued.
Do we care about that?
Yeah,
Truth be told, the tuna meat that's in Subway is really old Gamera.
Oh,
We've been eating gamma.
tasty. Okay, Ross, where do you weigh in on this hullabaloo?
I was one of the first ones to weigh in.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right,
you
you
was.
were.
What
Wow.
about Jason?
Carlos, how old are we?
Godzilla. Listen. Any attempt to make Godzilla a serious movie, just has to fail. Like Godzilla is
Oh, look at
B
that!
film.
It just
like-
came out of his ears.
like the cheesier the better.
I am
The
going to
campier the better.
flip here.
Travis looks like a character from The Howling.
Well, what I have to say is I'm with Travis and Lane on this one. Okay, I think we've heard from everyone, so let's do a quick round robin. Who thinks we're going to see Mechagodzilla? God help.
God.
in this movie? Let's start with Fase. Okay, that explains it all. Travis,
I hope not.
if you were going to send a message to the producers, what would you say?
If I were to send a message to the producers, I would say, just give us something more interesting than fucking Mecha Godzilla. You had King Ghidorah last film. Like, I know that's a hard bar to beat, but I believe in you. I enjoyed the 2014 movie. I believe that they can make something cool. And I'm also going to go ahead and say, as controversial as this might be, I am totally rooting for the underdog in this movie.
Wait, who's the underdog in it?
Kong.
King
Like,
Kong.
The
obviously.
viewers.
like, oh my God,
Oh.
like, of
Well,
the...
he's king.
I'm a member of a couple Godzilla groups, and people get livid when you say, "I hope Kong wins." They're like, "What? No!" Like, you think the Trekkie fandom is bad? I don't even like. I barely interact with Godzilla fans anymore. Like, I don't know who's worse between them and the Star Wars fans sometimes.
You know what I can say about the Godzilla fans that would get pissed off because of an opinion? Is I say the same thing to them that I say to the Star Trek fans that get pissed off for an opinion.
So this is the movie with The Rock in it, right?
The movie
Is
with
it?
the Rock
It would
in
make
it.
it better.
That
that's
was
for sure.
Rampage.
Ross, you were gonna.
I understand where they're coming from. I mean, King Kong is just a giant ape with a weakness for blonde women.
Who
So
doesn't?
I mean, I get it.
That's what people tell me too.
Godzilla is a freaking nuclear mutated lizard, depending on, or a super iguana or whatever version he is. He's a giant reptile that can breathe nuclear energy and all sorts of other stuff. He's significantly more powered than Kong, so making them seem like making them seem like an even pair is going to be a challenge.
I was always a big fan of Godzilla Jr.
Stop it!
But this is King Kong
Travis knows who Godzilla is.
You stop it!
Remember? Look, Travis.
I'm not looking.
Look at me.
I don't think that's
Come
the
on.
first time Carlos has been in that position.
Come on, Travis.
No.
Does
I need more tea. God damn it!
Angry tea.
Doesn't the simian intelligence of King Kong really play into the advantage here?
I think so too. I'm pro King Kong in this one. Ross,
You're-
finish up?
You're assuming that Godzilla isn't equally as intelligent.
He's not. Lizards aren't intelligent.
We're talking about a giant monster that has survived for eons, battling other giant monsters as
He's
big
tough.
or bigger than him. He took down 2 of those moth-like things in the first movie.
There's a reason why it's Mecha Godzilla and not Mecha King Kong.
So
They have a
where-
Mecha King Kong.
Yeah, that happens too. Ross, so where are you weighing in on this one? Are we going to see Mecha Godzilla or not?
I think the initial fight is going to be to a draw, and then we're going to find out what's actually agitating Godzilla, and then the 2 of them are going to team up to take down whatever it is.
It's the heartbreak of psoriasis is what it
The thing
is.
is,
You heard it here first.
there is one flaw with that mindset. They have explicitly said that there will be a winner.
Well, my money's on Kong. Raul?
Oh,
Godzilla
God, do I
survived
have
the
to?
damn nuke! Kong won't! So
Yeah, that we know of.
as much as I want Kong to win, if they end up nuking the place to try and take out both of them,
He's a smarty pants.
yes, and we do see him using tools, which is cool. Something that actually absorbs Godzilla's breath, so
And
that's something.
I wish I could
mean-
get hold of that.
I mean, if we're gonna get technical as well, Kong has beaten Godzilla before.
There you go.
So there's a history of violence.
Yes, there is.
I think they're just going to get together at the end and make lizard babies.
Yeah. Take a
Wow.
cottage by the sea together.
Yeah.
So Raul, are
I-
we going to see Mecha Godzilla in this movie or not?
I guess his roommate's going to jump him too.
Oh, good.
God.
Oh God!
I'm gonna go
I'm
get.
just,
You guys suck.
Oh my God!
Finally!
For once, it
Finally, it's
actually is
appropriate.
appropriate.
Finally it works!
Good for you, Stalwart Justin. Okay, so son, where do you weigh in on all this
Lane,
nonsense? This
you-
tomfoolery.
you
This
just tell these
hullabaloo.
people how much they suck.
He is telling us that.
So, I don't think you're going to be able to spend 2 hours on a single fight. I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen. There's no way you can make a 2-hour brawl interesting other than boxing, and that's because a whole bunch of the shit like boxing and wrestling and stuff, all that stuff is lead up, smack talking and drama and shit beforehand.
I think
This
that's
is a
exactly what this
movie.
movie is going to be.
This is a movie where, yeah, sure, they're going to duke it out, and then they're going to turn into frenemies to battle something else. That's going to have to be it.
I like the way you think.
And then
Let's see
once they're through with that, they're going to do the Japanese thing with the final face off at the end, and then they're going to end it.
So
It's Lane here. I think it's going to be Mechagodzilla, regardless of what Travis says. We're
I
going
don't
to see
give a shit.
Mechagodzilla.
So here's the description that's on Wikipedia. The synopsis. Legends collide in Godzilla vs. Kong as these mythic adversaries meet in the spectacular battle for the ages, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance. Kong and his protectors undertake a perilous journey to find his true home, and with them is Gia, a young orphan girl whom he has formed a unique and powerful bond.
is she blonde?
But they unexpectedly find themselves
Carla.
in the path of an enraged Godzilla, cutting a swath of destruction across the globe. The epic clash between the two titans, instigated by unforeseen forces, is only the beginning of the mystery that lies deep within the core of the earth.
So my guess would be somebody turned around and built a Mechagodzilla, and it pisses off Godzilla.
Or the
But
Godzilla
my-
that's pissed off is the Mechagodzilla.
My money is it's all to blame on Mothra, which you had
Everyone-
none of you have
everyone-
mentioned.
No, I mentioned it, and so did Andrew Schmidt. So I'm a big Mothra fan.
Didn't
Yes.
Mothra derive a whole bunch of its energy from like geothermal before it becomes the moth thing and erupts out of wherever it comes from?
You're a little late on that, Jason. I already showed
There
that.
is well, but it's good
Rodan.
to emphasize that Mecha Carlos would be probably a great addition to this movie. What I'm thinking.
I would love to see
Mecha King Ghidorah
Mecha
would be
Carlos
great.
fighting Mecha Peters.
Yes. Yes.
That
It,
would be
it
great.
wouldn't be Mecha Peters. It'd be a Power Rangers style growth of
It would-
Peters.
It would be Mecha Garth.
It would be a
How is
monster.
that different from the actual Peters?
It would be an upscaled monster, Peters.
Okay, all right,
So
kids.
here's a
We've
crazy
got our.
conspiracy.
Okay,
Here's a crazy conspiracy.
You,
for
you get
that.
the last word, son.
Okay, so how against it would you be if it was both a Mecha Kong and a Mecha Godzilla piloted solely to fight Godzilla?
Well, I think isn't that the rationale behind Mecha Godzilla?
Oh, maybe we get Godzilla in a even bigger Mecha Godzilla suit, fighting fighting King Kong in a bit
Can we
larger
just call it the
Mecha Kong
fucking
suit.
Power
This
Rangers?
is
Call it a
basically
day?
this is the Hulk smash scenario with the what was it that Tony Stark.
The Hulkbuster
Smasher?
suit.
Hulkbuster, that's what it is. It's a Hulkbuster.
Let's
That's all.
just call it the Power Rangers and then
Which was awesome when Hulk was fighting when Hulk was fighting in the Hulkbuster suit.
There's
Killer.
Silas. Hi, Silas.
Let's
You little saboteur.
let's be honest here. Everybody's tired of the superhero movies. Everybody wants the monster fighting movies. That's what's going on here.
It's time for the
25 minutes of torture, Travis.
Yeah, torture Travis. Okay, we'll move on to a new topic. And
I love that kid.
he's a great kid. Okay, so now that we've indulged our little boy / girl around Godzilla fantasies, let's go to some serious news this week, which I have to admit, I was distracted earlier in this week, and all of a sudden everyone's talking about GameStop, which is something I normally don't care about. But once it became clear that it meant the end of the American capitalistic system, I got a little more interested and came up to speed. So GameStop, it's stock.
you know who?
Brenda wins the internet today.
You know who we call that? We call that Ultraman.
The Peters version of freedom.
You
Which
guys are
is
just
getting a
trying to get
live-action
me to
adaptation.
shout out.
Okay,
You guys
we've
are
moved
trying
on
to
to
get me to
GameStop.
shout my voice box out.
It's all right. We have moved on to GameStop. And
Good.
Jason, I know that you are you've been following this pretty closely this week. Tell us why this is important, why we should care, and is this truly the revenge of the geeks against the terrible capitalist hedge fund managers, or is there something else going on here?
It's really hard to say. Like I there's the story, there's the narrative that sounds really good. If you know what happens, like basically there's this concept of the short, and the short is I'm going to borrow shares from someone and sell them at today's prices, expecting that tomorrow the price will go down. I'll buy them and return them to the person I borrowed them from, and the profit is the difference between what I bought them from and versus what at the lower price tomorrow than versus what I sold them for today. So the general idea is that these hedge funds have targeted certain businesses that are doing poorly. GameStop is one of them because let's be honest, GameStop is a zombie company. It was my first job back when they were called Babbage's.
I remember when they were Babbage's.
I remember that too. It seemed so long ago.
Yep. So it was the very first job I ever had. I was 16 years old, working over the Christmas season at the Altamont Mall, but let's face it, selling computer or video game, video games in the era of digital downloads just isn't going to cut it. Their pricing model sucks. First of all these hedge fund managers need to know that like GameStop trades are ridiculously crazy priced anyway. But it's a joke if you've ever tried to buy something used from GameStop. So they're trying to squeeze, so the theory or the kind of the narrative going around is that, these small retail traders have banded together on, various social media platforms to put a squeeze to these people who are basically betting against these companies and driving the stock prices up, which causes these hedge funds and these people who are basically taking these short positions to take enormous losses. So I think Melvin Capital is one that's going to have to be folding up soon. And
they already did, didn't they?
Yeah, and a few others. And so I ultimately though, and we've been bantering about this in our internal group, that at the end of the day, like the hedge fund companies, they're going to lose money. Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. But they're going to lose their money coming. The problem is when all these retail people who are kind of jumping in, and the later you jump in, the worse of a position you're going to be in. They're going to really be the ones who suffer because GameStop isn't worth $300 a share. Even if they could find some way to keep the company alive, it's worth maybe $20 a share. So at some point, people are going to get stuck holding the bag on a lot of stock. And I mean, I think that's really like we think it's revenge, but the reality is the people who are kind of Johnny-come-latelys, they're going to lose a lot of money over the next few weeks as GameStop stock craters back to earth.
Which it will, indeed.
Yep.
No, you're totally right. And we've seen this happen in American history so many times, and it's usually the little guy who ends up losing the most proportionately.
Right. And what's really tragic is what's going to happen is well-meaning, well-intentioned legislators are going to step in. They're going to write laws that are supposed to protect the little guy, but the legislation is going to be too big for people to read. And what's going to happen is it's just going to favor the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
What's a little bit, it's actually the problem with GameStop stock in the first place is a little bit worse than what you've described. It's not only were shorts going on in GameStop stock, there were also what is called naked shorting of GameStop stock. And what that is basically they were underselling the stock more than stock actually existed of GameStop. And that's illegal.
They were intentionally driving the cost down ahead of shorting.
Mm-hmm.
They were intentionally trying to kill the company on Wall Street.
So the narrative here of little guy striking back at the big bad hedge funds is how much truth is there to that, Jason or anyone? And given whatever truth there is to it, is it something that, Jason, you're basically saying it's not going to be able to last, that it's ultimately going to redound to the harm of these, retail, day traders, many of whom this is the first time they're ever really getting involved in the stock market. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think that there's some levels of truth to the retail story, like people trying to stick it to them. I mean, again, it's a great story. The app that this started this all on was Robinhood. So there's this belief that but you also got to realize that the owner of GameStop or the CEO of GameStop took a lot of positions as well in the company. Like he bought up a lot of shares as well. So it isn't just the retail investors. It's also a lot of the company insiders that are trying to shore up that have been taking advantage of the lower price, and so that's just kind of sped up and really just kind of the velocity over the last week has really taken off. I think before this week they were up to $30 or $40 over $20 a share. This week is really where we've seen within the last 7 days is really where we've seen the velocity of the shares take off. And
have you put any money into it, Jason?
No, because I mean, all my money is in mutual funds and stuff. I don't gamble in the stock market. It's not a gambling for me. I did buy one share of AMC just because I hope the movie theaters are open sometime soon.
Yeah,
saved them from bankruptcy.
Yeah, and really that's one really kind of interesting thing.
You also say Blockbuster.
Well, no,
Blockbuster is fine.
Yeah. The AMC thing is really interesting because basically one of these hedge funds had a lot of debt. AMC owed a lot of debt to one of these hedge funds, so they basically just wiped that debt away. So it's was it $600 or $400 million or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
A huge sum of money that basically is going to give AMC some legs through this, and the increased price has enabled them to raise an additional $300 million in capital as well. So they were able to sell shares and stuff during this. So I mean, it's kind of interesting, but I think some of it is overplayed. The narrative's a little overplayed. And I think some people are speculating this could cause a market meltdown. This is just a blip. I think and in the long term, most investors are still institutional investors. They're still your 401ks, your defined contribution funds, your defined benefit funds, your IRAs. My boss, talking to him yesterday when a lot of the, when Robinhood stopped trading and stocks started tanking, he didn't even get notified from his broker. He, if it gets certain volatility, he gets notified. So, he isn't a perfect barometer, but the fact that, he wasn't greatly impacted by the sways yesterday tell me that this really is that, we'll see legislation come about it because of it. And we'll see, some people are going to lose a lot of money. Some people are going to lose a little bit of money. But overall, I think that, this will just be, the January story of 2020 part 2.
Oh, boy, you'll definitely see these apps getting regulated, I think, though.
Well,
they already are regulated
against shorting.
Yeah, I've thought about that. I thought about the regulations against shorting. I don't think you're going to see that because that's an insider favorite, the ability to short. And I mean, you'd have to really get a lot of clout to be able to do that.
So the interesting thing on this is that the catalyst for this, Wall Street Bets, the Reddit group, has been a group that has existed for a while of continuous. I never remember the name of it, but they're like the single investors, right?
Yeah, they're just individual investors. Yeah.
Right. And they have been talking about this for over a year, about these problems that have existed on Wall Street. And at the same time have been talking about how the hedge fund managers, the hedge funds themselves, their managers, and most of Wall Street treat individual investors like basically third-class citizens, not even second-class citizens in the business. And
yeah, that's true. I remember when Facebook's IPO came out, institutional investors got all of the first chances to get any of that stock, and individual investors had very, very little opportunity to buy into that early on.
they have been watching the market and these stocks since lockdown started, because they knew this would be the opportunity that Wall Street would take to try to devalue brick and mortar businesses, especially with them not being able to be open.
Mhm.
And when they started seeing the naked shorting of GameStop, they said, "This is the time we can actually make them bleed because of us. We can prove we have sway." And that's when you saw the massive change in GameStop stock.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it definitely did start from a position of long-term individual investors going, "Fuck you, we're taking advantage of your own system legally."
Mhm.
And it's just been exploded to the point now, even like the mainstream news is suddenly calling these people alt-right for no reason, or
Oh, I haven't heard
Trumpian
that.
for no reason.
I haven't heard
Well,
that.
and you also had kind of the financial markets outsiders like Elon Musk, like the people who
Yeah,
tend
he's
not to
loving
be-
it.
Yeah.
like he's like torching them, and he's it's interesting because with all the social media hubbub of the events of 2 weeks ago, we're kind of seeing something similar play out. Now, of course, not in the political realm, but in the financial realm, with the utilization of social media and the utilization of alternative means of communication to
The idea being that it accelerates some of these movements
Right.
far beyond what we've ever seen before.
Right. And so what's really interesting is that, not, I don't want to rehash the politics of a couple weeks ago, but will we see a squeeze in, from big tech on this type of thing? Because again, they're part of the financial markets too. Their stability is rooted in the stability of the financial markets. I'm sure, Zuckerberg doesn't like the idea of the instability that we've played out over the last few weeks. Jack Dorsey doesn't like the instability of that we saw this past week. So are they going to deplatform? We've seen it happen. We've seen groups deplatformed on Telegram. We've seen it taken off of Reddit for a while. So it's just interesting to see.
They already tried.
Yeah, Discord server got nuked a couple days ago, and it's back up now.
The Wall Street Bets Discord server got taken down briefly. Wall Street Bets on Reddit got taken down briefly, but that was more to take care of all of the bots that have been showing up. But there are groups trying to deplatform them, but at the same time, would they really be that affected if they're not directly affected? Like you said,
Yeah, I think you're
if
right.
your boss didn't even see a blip on his portfolio, what would someone with the buying power of someone like Zuckerberg have?
Fear.
Fear of what? He's not his stock isn't going down to be shorted anytime soon.
Well,
It hasn't really affected them as much.
This is the other thing, though. This is the opposite side of that. If you can create financial pressure by shorting as much as you can by investing. If they turned around and started shorting Facebook stock, you would probably see the same thing happen, just in reverse.
I'm not sure that would work, though. I mean, because Facebook is a stable stock.
You have to.
It's a company that's growing, not one that's contracting like GameStop.
That's not the point here. The point is you're creating artificial pressure against the stock.
But you're creating trading activity, right? So you're taking a stock that's pretty healthy, right? So the business fundamentals of Facebook are still there, right? They're still positive revenue, there's still profit, there's still a growing customer base, user base. So by shorting Facebook, all you're doing is increasing the volume of shares that are being traded on the market.
Available.
Not necessarily, because isn't that exactly what happened in 2008? Because weren't they claiming there was fire before there was one, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, all of these stocks started falling?
No, because the fire in 2008 was because you had basically junk securities in the form of mortgages that weren't going to be repaid back. So the fire already existed. When you sell a house, when you sell somebody, in 2006, I tried to buy a house in Orlando. It was a shit house. They wanted me to buy it for $200,000, which was like well beyond my means at the time. You know, I mean, my going through a conventional 80-30 or 80-20 30-year fixed. I basically was approved for $124,000. My realtor was like, "Oh, just do a stated income loan and buy a $200,000 house. We'll get you into a 3-year variable, and then." And I would have bought the house. I would have owned it for a few years. Once that variable rate went up, I would have been underwater. And that's what happened in 2000. That's what caused 2008 is the fundamentals value going in was bad.
Yeah,
then,
it was an impact on the larger society, not just the financial sector.
Oh no, I completely agree there. But the problem was that they were overestimating or over-exaggerating, the value of the stock itself.
No, they were exaggerating the value of real estate. And that was a problem that cascaded into affecting the stock market. So
they were overstating the quality of the loans, which drove up the value of the real estate, which enabled them to sell even more lower quality assets, which then drove up the value of real estate again, which allowed. That was a compounding thing that was going on for, basically a better part of a decade, where people were getting them into variable rate mortgages, really low, starting off at really low interest rates, so you could buy it, way more than what you could really honestly afford, assuming that the value of the home would never go down. So even once your interest rate started going up, the idea was even if you can't afford the payments, you'll have equity that you'll be able to sell the house for and then bounce. The problem is that when that happened nationally, is everybody you started seeing all the large scale defaults happening across the country, and then that's where, like, when you've watched the movie The Big Short, that's where those people who shorted that industry made out, because now you had all the securities starting to fail.
The Big Short is in part my argument that particular book and then movie was my argument of where these people got the idea of doing what they did to the AMC stock, the GME stock, that sort of thing. And I think that when more information comes out, we're going to see that book referenced by the primary movers of the individuals club.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm going to say this by way of wrapping up, because we need to move on to our next topic. But it seems that a lot of this is new territory, and a lot of what we think is going to happen at this point is speculation, and we'll have to see how it pans out. So we can revisit that a week from now or later and see how it all works out. Hopefully our economic system doesn't fall in the meantime. All right. So thank you for your thoughts on that. Let's move on to the Star Trek news portion of our podcast this week.
Yay!
And we're going to start off with one of Travis's favorite topics, kind of. We know, Travis and Lane, that you are both big fans of Star Trek Lower Decks.
Yes, we are.
And, as we reported last week, Lower Decks was finally released internationally through Amazon as a platform outside of the U.S. And so Wired Magazine published an article this week in which it basically gave Lower Decks a great review. But hidden away inside that article, which talked about all sort of the inside jokes and Easter eggs and things that just tickled fans' funny bones.
Do we really want to be the ones to announce this? Because they've already got big heads already in there.
They already know.
Yes, we're going to announce this. So we find out in this article, they buried the lead, which was that apparently some of the jokes that appeared on Lower Decks came out of the Star Trek shitposting group on Facebook, and which... who wants to define what the shitposting group is all about? Not you, no. Travis, says yours is going to be mean, but you can.
What do you mean it's going to be mean?
You don't like them.
What do you mean I don't like
Lizard action?
That's what Star Trek.
It's Jason that doesn't like the shitposting group.
I literally said before the show that I have had plenty of pleasant interactions with the admins over there.
Okay, so do you want to take a shot at this one?
Sure, I'll take a shot at this one.
All right, jump in.
So, Star Trek shitposting is, I mean, it's just Star Trek memes. Whether people get them or not, it's if you've got, like, there's a Facebook page called Dominion Media Television, and these guys go out of their way to write some of the most ridiculous comics out there from, like, they take like screenshots of episodes and they will just go completely off the rails with their stories. Like they did one with Bernie Sanders and his mittens, and it was very much just like this back and forth banter between both Bernie, Damar, and Wayoon. I kid you not. And it's actually very silly. They do a lot of very funny, like, puns with, like, clones. Like, why would you write to your clone something like that? And, like, if you could picture that, just picture an entire group dedicated to this. And, like, there's, like, meme fads. Like, there was a entire trend of the Doctor singing opera and people, like, inserting like their own lyrics into what he's singing.
So basically you're saying they're wacky, and
yes, they are very wacky.
How many lights do you see? 2 3/4.
And I mean, like, I personally get a good chuckle out of them. I know that there's a lot of Star Trek cast members actually who are kind of like hidden in the fold. I know the late. Yes, they do like to lurk. I know Aaron Eisenberg was also a part of them for a very long time before he passed, and I think Robert Picardo might be lurking in there now as well.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think that's what started that trend.
But like, but yeah, they like. I know that some people have their quarrels with them. I know that there's an entire other group dedicated just to kind of spit in their face, like Star Trek without the commie admins or whatever. I personally, I have had pleasant experiences with them. If there's ever been any problems, they've been very like reasonable with me, and like I think they're all a bunch of fun people over there. And it's always I really enjoyed going over there when Lower Decks was premiering, because the memes that they came up with in their spoiler threads were just golden. Like, some of them were brilliant.
All right, so I guess we're going to see some jokes from there repeated in season 2, I guess. Any other thoughts on this?
Please don't tell Sean. He's already got a big enough head because of the Bernie Sanders memes.
That's true. Sean's Bernie's Mittens group is
well, I mean, like, I think I showed him the comic that I was talking about already. So,
Car Talk with Martok is my favorite one.
That one is very good. That one is also brilliant.
That one's someone calls in. It was Star Trek up to a point, and then other universes started calling in. Yeah. But it usually ends up with Martok telling them to yell at the car and to intimidate it into starting. My favorite one was the Tamarin one.
There's some really good ones in there.
Chainway on the bridge, coffee surging through our veins.
Martok is next caller.
I love when you let out your inner Klingon, Ross.
Careless, his phallus is hard.
Oh, God.
Mercy.
Oh, boy.
The vapors.
If you haven't, like, real talk, go follow Dominion Media Television. They got some real fun stuff over there.
Oh, yeah.
If it's real talk from Travis, it's got to be true. All right. Thank you for your thoughts on that. We'll keep looking at what we find out about shitposting and Lower Decks. And for those of you viewers or folks at home tonight who are outside of the U.S. and are watching Lower Decks for the first time, and of course you get to binge it. We had to go week by week. You get to binge it. Let us know what you think, particularly given this alarming news that Star Trek shitposting is directly responsible for some of the humor you see in Lower Decks, which makes a lot of sense. All right, so let's now talk about the next animated series in the Star Trek franchise, and that is Star Trek Prodigy, which has yet to. We've basically seen nothing from it yet. They are working on season 2, however, and a few weeks ago, of course, we learned that Captain Catherine Janeway, voiced by Kate Mulgrew, is going to be a character in.
That's been longer than 2 weeks ago.
I said few weeks.
Longer than a few weeks ago.
That's really immaterial. The point is she's in it. And what we found out this week is she's going to be in season 2 as well, which answers one of my questions, which I was afraid this was going to be one of those instances where they make a big deal about one of the big stars being in something, but they have like a cameo and that's basically it, or they're 1 or 2 episodes and that's it. We're seeing this now as sort of a long-term commitment to the character, which I'm excited about. Yeah. Even though I'm not always the biggest Voyager fan, I'm a huge Janeway fan. And so to me, this speaks to some high expectations for Star Trek Prodigy. God knows when we're ever going to finally see it. But other thoughts about Catherine Janeway?
There's a quote that I like to use quite a bit. There's a right way, a wrong way, and the Janeway.
Janeway.
Which is like the wrong way times 10, right?
Oh!
Use the Janeway protocol.
If I were in the same room as you, I would probably dump this hot tea all over your lap and then make you go get me another one.
I think I would join Travis and Lane on that one. You're too mean to Janeway. She would have, if you were part of her crew, she would have saved your butt.
I think the reason
it was not her fault. It was not her fault. There was a Puerto Rican on board, and they lost the ship.
I think the reason you're going to see. I think the reason we will see more of Janeway, at least like in the capacity as being their guide and mentor, is probably specifically because of that quote. Because Janeway did so much stuff outside of the norm, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically have a crew that is a whole bunch of kids that have stolen the Starfleet ship, essentially. So, I mean, you need someone that's going to understand the crazy stuff that they might get into.
Now, do we think it's going to be like actually physical body Janeway, or is it going to be a Janeway hologram?
I have no clue.
Because, like, how would Janeway get to this, like, derelict starship?
That's why I think the derelict ship is Voyager, because why else would Janeway be?
It's not going to be
Voyager is too big for, like, 6 kids.
Yeah.
Is it?
Not Voyager.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It's not.
Wait,
no, it's not. No, I mean, the Doctor and Tom Paris flew it after they got it back from Seska.
Yeah, and 7 and 9, and the Doctor flown it, and
flying it for a few minutes is different from running it
longer than that.
On an ongoing basis.
Systems break down; they need repairs. Systems need maintenance to keep from breaking down.
Things don't break down on Voyager. Don't you get that? The ship can be beat to shit one week, and the start of the next week, it's like it just came out of space dock.
You served that to him, Ross. You knew he was going to come back with that.
Oh, God.
Wasn't the skeleton crew for Voyager like 15 people at minimum?
Something like that. But it's
and
more than
Voyager also has unlimited full-time torpedoes.
And shuttlecraft.
And unlimited shuttlecraft.
And it has the TARDIS for the shuttle bay.
Let's not go into that.
That's Discovery had a TARDIS for the turbolift shaft.
Okay, we don't really care about that, though, since we're talking about Prodigy. And any other thoughts on Janeway and how they're going to work her into this for 2 seasons, apparently, not just 1?
They'll be forever on a hunt for coffee in a nebula.
Not if she's a hologram.
Interestingly enough, I had a thought about this.
Mm-hmm.
And the thought was that the derelict ship they find could be a cadet training ship.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you could have Admiral Janeway as a hologram aboard it.
I like the way you think, son.
Or
why couldn't that derelict training ship be the USS Voyager?
It would make total sense that if Janeway is instructing at the Academy that she is using Voyager to train
Look at it this way: there were more than 6 cadets aboard the Defiant, and the Defiant was used as a training ship.
Yeah.
I think you're thinking of the Valiant.
Yeah, it was the Valiant.
Well,
Valiant.
yeah, whatever the hell class of ship that was.
Yes, but that was that class of the Defiant class was intended to always be run by a small number.
Right, and that was and those cadets were more than 6 people, and that's a small ship with a small. Crew.
My guess
the Voyager complement was only like 120, like
170.
That's a lot more than 6. I mean, I think the training vessels, and remember that was Red Squad, so that's like the elite of the elite that got an actual starship.
We don't know if these are quite Red Squad either.
My guess is that they're not.
They're not.
It literally says they're rogue teens who steal a derelict starship.
And here's the thing to remember: in any new series, you're not going to get the same ship as one that came before. Yeah. We're going to see. This is going to be something we haven't seen before. It's going to be something on the scale of the La Serena, I think.
Yeah, I agree with Ross.
My money is that the derelict starship is the Voyager as a museum ship with a Janeway hologram, and the Janeway hologram is leading them. Or
I think
the Arrow shuttle.
I think it's going to be a derelict cadet starship that has Janeway programmed in as an instructor. All right, we'll see. Travis, you looked like you wanted to say something earlier.
I was just going to say that I personally am very. I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle Janeway in this, because for similar reasons as I was excited for Picard, I'm really looking forward to seeing this next stage of her life. I like Janeway, but I will also give her some tough love in that her character was not always handled the best. I have talked about this before on the show. Her writing suffered because the writers just didn't really know what to do with her. One week she was Picard light, the other week she's doing her own thing. It just I'm really sorry. The writing around her character was shaky at best, and when you see, just thinking of what might happen in her Starfleet career after she gets Voyager home, I'm curious as to whether or not she will maintain that admiral rank. I'm wondering if, again, she will be a prominent, in-person figure amongst this crew of, young Starfleet cadets, if that's what they are.
We don't know they are.
We don't know, and I
thought they said Admiral Janeway, rank-wise, whenever they called it out. Or they haven't even called her by rank yet.
I don't think they have.
Yeah, they haven't given her a rank.
I'm excited to see what they do with her. I am hoping that we see, a very believable and entertaining next part of Janeway's career. I know she's not the focal central character of this series by any means, but the sky's the limit as far as I'm concerned right here.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see how
I just hope she fared better. I just hope she fared better and her retire or whatever after Voyager than Picard fared.
Well, she's not retired.
Picard went to his vineyard.
Like I said, I hope she has fared better than Picard fared.
Well, Picard still did better than Kirk.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, with all the episodes of Star Trek that ended with Kirk on the bridge, it all ended with a bridge on Kirk.
That joke is so played out.
Thank you, Travis. Okay, so let's move over into what's, I guess, been a weekly topic for us since the end of season 3 of Discovery, and that's what the heck are we going to see in season 4? And Mr. Kurtzman, Alex Kurtzman, apparently appeared on a podcast this past week. Trek Today reported on what he had to say about what we may see in season 4 of Discovery. And I would love to hear what you guys think about what he said, and did he really say much of anything? So let's start off at the top, which is the issue of Saru. And I know this is one of your favorite topics, Jason. So even though we've heard from some of the other, I think Michelle Paradise has said this, Kurtzman also says Doug Jones is going nowhere. Saru is going nowhere. He will be part of this show. We just don't know exactly what that means. And I'm not sure, unless, from my reading of this article, which is on the Trello card for you folks at home, I'm not sure that we really learned anything new from Kurtzman in this than from what we heard already in the last couple of weeks. Did you all get a different impression?
I'm
what
only
I've
reading
seen
it right now, so
from what I've seen of it, it's pretty much like the same information. I know from social media posts, Doug Jones himself has confirmed that they are filming. He's on set. He hasn't mentioned exactly as what. I kind of was messing with one of the comment sections, like, so is it Admiral or Ambassador now? He's just like, you'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I know you've floated those theories before.
It would make total sense.
I don't. Ambassador, maybe. Admiral, no way. I mean, he barely just became a captain, for Christ's sake. I don't know, Ambassador. I still want him to get a chance to learn to be a captain, and this is where you jump in, Jason.
I don't think you can take Saru back to captain of the Discovery.
Not of the Discovery.
No, you can't. I mean, if you do that, then I mean, like Burnham is the captain now, and if you do that, there's going to be a lot of backlash about and at this point they've kind of locked her in. She needs to be a good captain. She needs to be somebody, because if you don't do it that way, then you're going to see an uproar of social media, specifically from the shitposting.
So do you think we're going to see him again? Does it make more sense to you that he comes back as a captain of a different ship, or something like an ambassador, as Justin has suggested?
I think Saru's role is ambassador. I think he is the promise of the Federation, of the golden age of the Federation. He is somebody who was plucked out of obscurity his relationship with the with the leader of Navarre, him working with what's her name from Earth. I think he plays I think he plays the diplomat of Discovery and the efforts to rebuild the Federation.
Now, it's interesting. I'm going to read you one of the things that Kurtzman said in this interview about Saru, and I would love to hear you, Jason, but the rest of you as well, parse this in terms of what you think he's like. What is the subtext of what he's saying here about Saru? So one of the things that that Kurtzman says is, Saru. He said, and Saru, who I think made an extraordinary captain, which I know you disagree with, Jason, by the way, already, also began to recognize by the end of the season that he doesn't necessarily have probably the hardest thing a captain has to have, which is the willingness to be able to potentially sacrifice something you care for or somebody you care for to serve a greater good. And he doesn't know where he is on the line yet. And that's going to be part of what he gets to explore in season 4. So what do you take away from that?
I think that's bullshit. I think that entire statement is bullshit.
Expand on that. What do you mean?
Because he literally ordered the gay married couple, half of the gay married couple, down to a planet that was full of radiation in which they could die.
Yeah, I see your point. Now, I know, because we talked about that a little bit earlier, but Jason, you still think, what was your exact term? Saru is the worst starship captain ever.
Yeah,
bullshit.
So look, I thought of you. You were your little voice was in my head when I read that quote from Kurtzman, because he actually, in my mind, he is kind of agreeing with you. I mean, like he says the words, he was an extraordinary captain. But when he says things like, he essentially says he didn't have what it takes, like he almost uses those words. So I think he may actually agree with you, Fase.
Yeah, no, I think that, I would rather serve with Janeway than Saru.
There's
You're
one,
going to time out.
There's one person that was actually a worse captain than Saru. That fucking kid on the Valiant.
Oh yeah, the cadet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
he was-
listen. Saru was good-hearted. He meant well, but at the end of the day, like he put someone in as first officer that he fundamentally didn't trust. If you look at like the first officers when they went rogue, right? Kirk, Spock, Pike, the Menagerie. At the end of the day, at the end of all that, like Spock stole Kirk's ship, kidnapped a fleet captain, went to a planet where it was, death penalty to visit, all because of for the betterment of one person, right? We have something very similar with Burnham, except instead of taking the whole ship and leaving Starfleet in lurch, she just took Bookship to go to find out this mystery, and she comes back and Saru cannot trust her. So he didn't trust her to begin with because he didn't take that to me is just an amazing captain flaw. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not going to trust somebody you're putting in leadership, you don't put them in leadership.
Technically, what happened on the Menagerie was all orchestrated by the Organians to begin with.
No, it was the
Telosians.
Telosians.
But it doesn't
Telosians,
matter.
I mean, sorry.
It doesn't matter.
With Spock, though. It was with Spock.
Spock mutinied. Spock stole the Enterprise. Spock kidnapped Pike. Like, those things wouldn't have happened if it weren't for Spock's actions. And yet, at the end of that, Kirk was like, okay, number one, let's go.
Well, that's a good point. What I would argue is if Spock is that dedicated to his captains that he's willing to take risks like that, that only speaks to what he's going to be willing to do for Kirk in the future, and does. So Kirk may see that as an investment that would pay off later.
Saru may not be the best starship captain in the world, but
Which starship captain could be in their first year of captaincy?
well, I mean, he wasn't really. I mean, he didn't really have enough time as first
Kelvin
officer.
Exactly.
He didn't really have enough time. First officer, some first officers actually.
Wait. So the season 1 of the original series was Kirk's first year of command.
We don't know that actually.
No, not exactly.
It was ish, but they've never really said that.
Consult
They
the book of
changed.
armament.
They changed so much.
Open up.
TOS.
I mean, just go watch season 1 of Deep Space Nine.
You all just missed Travis's excellent Monty Python reference. Say it again,
looking
Travis.
up- I said,
Say it again.
consult the book of armaments. I am looking at
Armaments, chapter 5, verse 2. Okay. So
Early
while Travis
posting.
looks that up, here's the round robin question I'm going to pose to each of you as we wind up this topic, and that is: you have 3 choices. Tell me which one you think Saru is going to be in season 4 next year. Hopefully, it's next year. Is he coming back as a captain? Is he coming back as an ambassador? Or is he coming back as something else? Let's start with the Eyebrows of Doom.
I think the most likely thing would probably be an ambassador. Saru showed a incredible talent for diplomacy in season 3. How he was able to forge a relationship very quickly with all the different leaders of the planets they visited, with the exception of Trill. But they decided to join back right away anyway.
Yeah. So he obviously.
I loved his rapport with the leader of Navarre. Their conversation, his understanding of her position, his questions.
I think there was some chemistry there.
His questions to her, very, very potentially sensitive questions, but couched in a very delicate way, a very diplomatic way. I think that would be the best place for him rather than the captain's chair.
Well, yeah, that's why I agree with you because I mean he just seems like a better suited person that can listen and deliberate and get people to rally to the cause and command. So I think he'll be a better suited ambassador.
Okay, Travis and Lane.
In terms of Saru, I'm not going to speculate too much because I am terrible at speculating.
Do it anyway.
Do it anyway. You can write 30 paragraphs of comments so you can speculate.
That's a completely different thing.
That's retrospective, not speculative. Go ahead, Travis.
From what Kurtzman, from what you read about Kurtzman's statement there, I personally am really looking forward to his arc in season 4 now. Like seeing him potentially learn to get that enter that kind of mindset of I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble formulating the words here. I just think that his arc sounds fascinating as far as figuring out just how to potentially learn to let go of something he cares about or confront a fear of losing someone he cares about. And I don't know where I see him in season 4 in terms of position or rank. I personally want him to stay with Discovery, if not as captain, as just some rank. Because you just can't, Saru is Spock to Discovery for me. He is that he is that iconic to the show with me. And if they were to just throw him in command of another ship and demote his character to more of a recurring role, I think that would be a real disservice to the show in general, honestly.
Well, Travis, they could also, in theory, they could keep him as an ambassador, but have him on Discovery going and reestablishing contact with all the lost Federation worlds.
Like I said, I'm not going to speculate too much.
You can certainly parse that from another quote from Kurtzman in the article, in which he says they're talking about what happens now to the small Federation. And he says at the end of season 3 with the Federation, Humpty Dumpty really does kind of just come back together, but they have a long way to go. There's still many, many species and planets that are not members of the Federation. So it's an amazing first step into a brighter future, but ultimately there's still a long way left to go. Without spoiling anything, that's a lot of what season 4 is going to be about.
Yeah,
with that in mind, let's go to Sun and get her thoughts.
So I think Saru is going to come back a broken being. I truly think that the kid is still going to have some leftover thing with the screaming and controlling the universe. And he's going to have to make a decision. Kill the kid or let his planet die.
Whoa, dude. That's a big jump.
That's a big sacrifice.
Sure. Yes. I mean, that would be surprising to me, though. But it does not contradict what Kurtzman does say. He says that the idea
really dark.
That would be very dark, but
not the first time they went dark on this show before. So
no,
not quite this dark.
Not that dark.
Would it even surprise anybody at this point? I mean,
it would surprise me. It would definitely
would surprise me too. It would surprise me.
They were torturing a tardigrade to do jumps in season 1.
Except that's not what they thought was happening.
Yeah.
Only later did they realize that that's what they were doing.
And
they didn't go into it say, we are going to torture this being. So that was more a consequence than a motivation. Okay, any other thoughts on that, Son?
look, I don't know how it's going to. I just believe that that's what's going to happen to Saru.
Okay.
About the rest of the season, I could care less about. The whole Stamets book argument on whether who gets to fly the ship anymore or not. I don't give a damn. If you want, go start hiring the rest of his species to start implementing this drive into every Federation ship, because you can now do it. You have proof.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, not everyone in his species has that power. It's his brother and him did. Apparently, it's something that they're an exception rather than the rule on that planet. So it's not like they have a whole planet full of empaths.
Betazoids.
Betazoids are not empaths; they're telepaths. Deanna was a hybrid, which is why it turned out with her as empathic rather than telepathic. And they also explicitly state that it's not just being an empath. They were a very specific type of empath. So I don't think we're going to see a Betazoid.
You have to be a druid before you can do it.
Okay, Raul, do you have a stance on this?
Not really.
Okay.
I like Saru as a character, but I'm not taking a guess on where he lands.
Okay, and okay, it looks like
Fried with entrails.
Fasay, you get the last word on this one, since Russ appears to be checked out for a little bit. So, what's it going to be? You're muted.
Sorry. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see Saru's arc. I think Saru makes a better ambassador than he does captain, and so he makes a better ideological leader, and as opposed to like someone who's actually in command. So I think if that's the direction they go, I think it'd pay off for the character.
I will say in closing this segment that while I really would have liked to have seen Saru develop as a captain, I think in order to keep him on Discovery, the show and the ship, he needs to be something like an ambassador. There's still, as an ambassador, and we saw this with Kirk even in TOS often, that he and ambassadors would butt heads all the time, because ambassadors often were given command authority for specific missions. So that's something we could still see happen with Saru and Burnham, even with her as captain. So
speaking of Kirk, I think I have some fun answers here for you in terms of his first command. So Memory Alpha is very vague on the whole thing. They just said that he rapidly rose through the ranks and was given command of the Enterprise in 2265, replacing Pike. I went ahead and went to Memory Beta to see if there was any like fill in the blanks types of things. They do mention that Kirk eventually took command of the USS Aloya, and in 2261 he was recalled to the Eagle. He was offered command of the USS Oxford, which he accepted, and asked Carol Marcus to marry. She refused.
I think if you have to go to beta canon, it's a reach. I'm with Fasay on this one. It's a laser sword wank off.
I am just
No, I appreciate
giving
you
you some details here.
Yeah, I think there's just so much speculation there.
So it's never explicitly said it was his first command.
Correct.
It was never explicitly said.
Kirk was the youngest starship captain when he assumed command of the Enterprise.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not going to debate that, no.
So then if he was the youngest starship commander when he assumed command of the Enterprise, that leads to believe that was his first command of a starship.
Mm-hmm. I'm with Fasay on this one. But thank you for doing the research and raising those topics. Let's go now to the woke topic of the week. And that is I'm not sure if this is actually true, but the headline in, I think it was Screen Rant this week, and then I saw people on Facebook, all around Facebook commenting on this, was whether Discovery Season 4 will actually feature the first all-female bridge. And of course, they issue the caveat that it's not really all-female bridge. It is the top three, captain first
Then
officer.
why say all female bridge?
I agree with you on that one. But the three top spots is really what they mean. But
Because that headline provokes more emotion.
yeah, I guess. I mean,
It
certainly.
gets angry clicks from the people
Yeah, there
they
you
want
go.
to be angry,
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but
which is
That
why I'm
being
not clicking the link.
well, you're not going to find much more than just their observation and their little caveat there. But it also presumes that that Tilly stays on as permanent first officer. Are we confident that's actually going to be the case?
Well, we see her uniform at the end of the episode switch from red to blue, so they kind of left that one up in the air.
Yeah, I think they're definitely doing that, and I think part of the reason for that is that she's not going to be, at least at the first part of the season. Other thoughts, Travis?
I am totally down to see if Tilly remains as first officer. I think that she and Burnham work incredibly well off one another. I believe they would make a very good captain first officer pair, and I believe that the strong relationship that they already share would only get strengthened by that kind of partnership.
Mm-hmm. Jason, you've been very skeptical about Tilly as first officer. What do you think? Is it going to be permanent? And
I hope not. I think Tilly's a wonderful character. I think watching her grow is one of the high points of Discovery. I think sticking her into the first officer chair assumes too much growth too quickly on a permanent basis.
What would you rather see?
I'd like to see like Detmer or Owo as first officer.
I would say Elbow.
I don't know about Owo. Owo just season 3 developed a lot of the bridge characters out much better than in seasons 1 and 2, but I still don't think we know enough about Owo for that kind of jump.
We know she can
Of course
hold her
we
breath
do.
for a very long time.
Yes, we
Yes,
do.
and I actually really look, this might be the free dive enthusiast in me talking, but I very much dig that. Cool.
Well,
we need an underwater episode of Star
we
Trek.
also know that if she was a character on The Expanse, that would be a very good ability to have. So
Save the damn
a
ship.
little bit.
You know what I'd like to see, actually?
What's that, son?
As much as I'd like Tilly to remain number one, if they could somehow, in any respect, get the Barzan lady back, I'd like to see her as number one.
I would love to see Nan back.
I would too, although I loved her as chief of security. One of the things that I thought was criminally underused was what's her name, Rekha Sharma, as chief of security on the Discovery under Lorca, and because she was just badass, and I think Nan had some of that same kind of vibe. So I would definitely like to see her back and expanding what she can do as a security officer. Jason, you were going to say something?
I was going to say Rekha Sharma is an amazing actress. I really hated her in Battlestar Galactica. I thought I just didn't like the. I thought I really just didn't just like. Yeah, I thought I just didn't like the. I hated Tori. I thought it was maybe I just didn't like the actress and whatever.
So did you hate Tori from the very beginning?
From the very beginning, I hated her.
Really? I thought she was great as the sort of smarmy press secretary type. That turned into.
She was no CJ Craig.
Side note, she continued with her role as in Star Trek Online. They fleshed her out even more, gave her a really killer story that I really loved, and she's also a Klingon.
Really? Voices a Klingon character?
Yep, the character of Adet Pa, the Witch of Nimbus 3.
Ooh, Nimbus 3, of course.
The planet of intergalactic peace, Carlos.
The planet of intergalactic peace.
She's currently playing a prominent role in that story right now, and she is absolutely killing it.
Oh, that is good to hear. I'm glad
I really hated Tori in Battlestar Galactica, and then I saw she was in an episode of Star Trek Continues. I thought she was delightful. I was like, I didn't realize that she was actually not someone I thought I just didn't like the actress. And then in Discovery, she was really good too.
Well, I will tell you, I've met her twice, I think. She's an awesome person. She's an awesome person. I met her years ago at Dragon Con. We were both on a panel together, and then I saw her again at STLV, the one where we finally met in person, Jason, because she is a good friend of, or she knows and admires a friend we have in common who she does a lot of knit and crafting stuff, and that's all sort of geek themed. And she had made something for Rekha Sharma and asked me to give it to her, and she was like, "Oh," and I mean, she just remembered. She was just very nice and approachable. I really like that about her. So, okay, but that being the case, other thoughts on
Tilly?
Tilly?
I don't think I got to weigh in.
Yes, please do, Ross.
Yeah, I think as nice as it would be, Tilly needs more seasoning. She needs to work up the ranks as a junior officer. She needs that time in the lower decks. She needs that on the job experience. That with Michael being the captain, she's now much more capable to help to continue to mentor and guide Tilly, and that's a relationship I'd love to see. I am all for OO becoming first officer. I think it would be absolutely criminal to take Detmer off the helm.
I agree.
But if she becomes the next Sulu, I certainly won't complain.
But she was the first officer of the ISS Senjo.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
That's why that's really, and I really like I just think she's a very compelling character. She's got that pilot macho ego, and I get there's a lot of complaints that the bridge crew is underdeveloped. I disagree with them, but I would like to see
with that too.
I'd also wouldn't mind seeing Nations officer. I forget his name.
Rice.
Right. I
Yeah,
also wouldn't mind seeing Ariam's original actress. What role is she
Nilsson.
playing now? The lieutenant's
Nelson.
Nilsson, yeah.
That would be a good opportunity to get those two characters fleshed out a bit more.
Yeah.
True.
And I
Although
mean,
we don't
we
really
will-
know very much about like what they're bringing to the table.
That's what I mean.
All right.
Well,
I'm
we'll
gonna go
probably
ahead
see.
and I'm gonna offer a challenge here.
Uh-oh.
I'm hearing a lot of like it's too soon.
With Tilly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's too soon with Tilly conclusions being thrown around here, and that it's too fast or she needs more time in the lower decks or whatnot. I'm going to ask then, with Kirk being the youngest captain in Starfleet history of the flagship of Starfleet.
Enterprise wasn't the flagship.
Yeah, it wasn't the flagship at the time, and Discovery isn't the flagship either now.
Well, I'm not saying Discovery was the flagship.
Well,
The Enterprise wasn't the flagship.
Regardless, I'm saying what I'm getting at here is what makes Tilly any different from Kirk. She's not getting a captainship. Like, she has expressed interest. She has shown that she has some gumption.
There's more to leadership than just raw talent, and to be able to grow and foster that trust, you have to be credible, and that credibility only comes from experience.
She lost a ship in 5 minutes.
Then
That could have happened to anybody.
yeah, that could have
That
Ten
happened.
minutes with Saru.
That would have happened if Saru was there. It would have happened if Michael was there. It would have happened if Pike was there.
And I mean, like, that I would ask this question, like what makes Kirk different? Like, what do we know about Kirk before he assumes command of the Enterprise?
Well, we know that he was a lieutenant on the Farragut. We know that he had. I mean, he was 35 when he took over command of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
So he
So
was.
he's been a lieutenant and a first officer
Yeah.
before he became captain. She hasn't been promoted to lieutenant yet.
He had at least Prime Kirk had a full career before he took command of the Enterprise. Now, if you find out what's the difference between Tilly and Kelvin Kirk, not a lot.
Yeah, that's true. But that by itself may be problematic. I believe, even though Travis and I believe Lane feels this way too, I love Tilly. I do. I would like to see some room for her to grow. So I would, and I also see the first officer position being an opportunity for the show to introduce a new character in an important role who is someone who is not part of the original crew of the Discovery. So someone from 31st century Starfleet. It gives us a chance to have that perspective on the show, on the bridge, all the time, as opposed to having to always go back to Admiral Vance.
What about that
I would
Vance's
actually
assistant?
I would be very open to that, actually.
What about Vance's assistant?
Yeah, Lieutenant Willow.
Yeah, because I
that's
can
kind of who I
actually
thought
really see that's I could actually really see her, because if Discovery's going out and they put Shrew and on as an ambassador, Vance is going to want some of his more experienced crew, and I think that's a more logical choice. Because they're going to be out contact base.
I think
makes sense.
I think that promoting Tilly to lieutenant would be cool. Have a different first officer, someone from 31st century there, and then 32nd. Which are we in? 32nd, right?
32nd, yes.
32nd. Okay. So someone from 32nd in the first officer role, maybe Tilly's second officer.
Science
officer.
Like
that, or science officer or whatever, because we don't actually have a technically. Right.
Burnham was that.
Burnham was science officer, so that would make sense.
Could make a good science officer.
Yeah, she's smart enough for sure. So that's what I think I would like to see.
Oh, and security.
I like where she is, and bring back Non. Son, you're right. Non.
Yeah, but Oval kicks some major ass.
I mean, I definitely like to see more of Owo, but I would like to see more of her in the role that she's in, which I think we haven't really explored that role very much. Which is probably different now, just from a technological perspective, very different now in the 32nd century than it was in the 23rd, and certainly from the 24th.
Which we really did this season, get to know more of the crew, which I really hope they continue to do next season, because I like that aspect of getting to know the crew better, and so hopefully it'll be less Michael Burnham, more in everybody. I know it wasn't always Michael Burnham, but they really kind of centered around her quite a bit when she started coming into great
character. So that's surprising. Okay, thank you all for your thoughts on that. Let's go to our whimsical story of the week, and that is, I don't know if any of you were fans of the Mego Star Trek figures. When I was a kid, they'd just come out, and I loved them. Mego is apparently doing some new Star Trek figures, and among the three are Captain Picard, Data, and Saru. Justin, if you have a chance to put up the little picture of these three, and I think there are more than just these three, but they're the ones that were pictured in the article. The Saru one looks interesting,
uncanny,
a little awkward. Yes, uncanny would do it, but I guess those figures kind of always did.
That doesn't look like Shrew.
It does. The face does. But interestingly, he made a point in this article talking about how when you take the clothes off, he doesn't have hooved feet. He has regular human feet, and
that's probably it.
And his torso is also a human torso.
What's wrong with Picard?
The stitching on his, he just looks a little confused.
It looks. I hope these aren't the final.
I think they are.
Oh God!
But he does. The boots are hooved, so the boots that that go on top of the feet are apparently hooved. But
it
but
just
if you take off the boots,
feet.
Yeah. So just from
Barbie feet are always cocked up with that heel cocked up.
Right. I remember. Okay, so anyone planning on going off and buying Mego figures when they come out?
Nah.
Not my type of money.
So there's a picture of a stripped Picard here. You can tell he doesn't go on holiday very much.
He's got a 6-pack though.
Oh boy!
Yeah, really.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's because they modeled him after the Mirror Universe Picard from those comics.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
God.
guy he was buff.
First Contact Picard. First Contact Picard was ripped.
Was he?
Yeah.
So was
He looked pretty
Insurrection Picard.
He was badass for sure, but
It-
yeah,
it-
I mean,
that's
Peru's
not
face
crazy.
does look a little weird, but at
It
least they
looks
have.
like the dude from the ship, whatever his name was.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's as vague as you can get, Justin.
I'm
Honestly,
the kid that caused the burn.
He doesn't look
Sukal.
like that at all. Yeah, Sukal, but he
No.
doesn't look like Sukal.
He don't look like Sheree. Don't look like Sheree.
Well, these things are always at
Well,
best.
Here,
Yeah, see,
I've
there
got a Mego figure of Kirk just up here. Let me grab it real quick.
Okay.
It's like the resemblance between Kirk and on-screen Kirk is iffy at best. Give me a minute.
They always are really in these figures. They're at best, approximations of
Oh
these
God!
actors.
Look at that.
That's actually kind of cool, but that's mostly I think the staging and the light.
That looks like
Oh, there's my favorite dude.
oh,
There you go.
Which is
Yeah.
to say, not.
I can't wait to see John Delancey in Picard season 2.
And on
Don't be that way.
Lord X and
I told you I'm fine with
Prodigy.
him on lower decks. I'm
you'll be on
fine.
Prodigy.
Eh.
You don't think
16-year-old had
so,
to visit
so
Janeway.
Carlos, I don't want Q to do Q things on Picard.
Mhm.
I want to see John Delancey as Q have a conversation with Picard about mortality and humanity now that Picard is a synth. Looking at their relationship through TNG, you don't think that not taking the opportunity to have that conversation would be a missed opportunity?
Well, I think we saw that in large measure in Tapestry, which
No,
I think
you
is one of my favorite Q episodes, if possibly
no, you didn't.
my favorite.
No, you didn't. You didn't see that conversation between Q and Picard. You saw Q kind of lording over Picard in the way only Q can. And it was Picard coming to those realizations himself.
That was Q's intention.
What-
Yes, but that's not the conversation that Jason is talking about.
Right. Remember the conversation that Picard had with Data when they were both in the little memory box? That's the kind of conversation Jason is talking about.
Yeah, the existential conversation about what it means to be alive and what it means to be human versus, and there's no other character in the entire franchise, aside from maybe Data, who's now gone, who could really have that conversation with Picard.
So tell me a little bit about how this might play out, because do you really think that they would go to the trouble of having Q on an episode in which he doesn't do anything Q-like? They sit down for a cup of Earl Grey and debate existentialism.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
tell me what you think.
yeah.
I mean, would that be interesting?
All good things.
Yeah.
That wasn't necessarily Q doing Q shit.
A
didn't
lot
show
of it was his recreation of the encounter at Farpoint
Carlos?
trial. Yeah, go ahead.
He wasn't there snapping his fingers every time Picard made a time jump. He was the one who instigated the time jump so that Picard is leaping through these different states of being. But he's not the one who's there snapping it every time and says, "Here we go again." So it looks like so in that case, it's Picard going through that journey on his own. I think that's what Jason is more getting towards. It's the frame of the season or one or two episodes where something Q-ish is happening, but you don't see Q popping up and saying "Oh, mon capitaine" and snapping his fingers every 5 minutes.
No, I mean I agree with you. That's definitely the downside of the Q character, but the frame was very much a Q-ish frame, and
But
which is to say, sort of
you didn't know that until a good part of the way through the episode. You didn't know why Picard was jumping until
Sure, but the whole frame from an existential standpoint was this is the conclusion of the trial, essentially.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. But
You
see my
said
point.
at the end.
My
the
point.
trial
I
never-
know, Justin. That's not my point. My point
Right.
is that it was an extension of what we saw, or a bookend from what we saw in the
Carlos,
in
you
the
get so
pilot.
cute when you get flustered over talking about you.
I just think that there is no greater intellectual foil for Picard than Q.
Did we ever get?
I wouldn't disagree with that. I wouldn't disagree with that.
And I think it would be a shame if we bring back the Picard character without at least once bringing in Picard's greatest foil.
Did we ever get an outright answer to why Picard was having the data dreams?
No.
Especially the dreams that literally led him on this chase to begin with.
I think that so the dreams at the start of it. I just restarted a rewatch. So the first sets of dreams he has are just over the dread and regret of the Mars colony attacks so early on. Because it was the anniversary, he was doing the show that day. So I think that was tied to that. Then we see he doesn't have the dream of the second dream of Data isn't until after he meets Daj, and that's where.
He sees Data painting the picture of her.
Right, because that's where he recalls her face from.
The painting, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Data is his biggest source of guilt and regret.
Yeah.
So
he does as much when he confronts the reflection of Data.
So here's a question. Would it be interesting to have Picard continuing these dreams, but with Q, so that it would be a conversation?
I would prefer that these dreams were something organic to Picard rather than something external.
I will go ahead and challenge the greatest intellectual foil claim. I would maybe in terms of protagonist antagonist relationship, but I would also say that Guinan was a really good intellectual foil with him. I mean, more in a supportive role, but still, I mean, some of the best moments between the two characters happened, and
we know they're going to be exploring that this season in some way. So we're going to get that wish fulfilled.
Don't forget Roga Danar.
Don't forget what?
Roga Danar.
Roga Danar. He outsmarted Picard and has totally awesome hair.
I like the way you talk, Travis.
He's floating lower decks.
I just don't know who you're talking about. So there you go.
The episode The Hunted.
I'll have to look it up. I don't remember that.
Season 4, I believe. I think. I could be mistaken on that one.
Okay. Well, I mean, we'll see. I see the upside of what you're proposing, Jason. I just the only thing that would ruin it would be if they had him do a Q thing. Then it's just dumb at that point for me.
If it goes over the top Q thing, yes, I agree. Yeah. Like this series, you can't do the mariachi band Q.
Okay.
Right. But even
we're way beyond that, Q. I think if it's anything, it's going to be something meaningful.
Are we really? I mean,
when was the last time
look at what he did in Lower Decks?
Yes, you are going to get a Q that's beyond that. You've got a Q that's got a kid. You've got a Q that's post Civil War of the Q. You've got a Q that has basically kind of refound himself after killing Quinn.
What was the last appearance of Q? It was on Voyager, right?
Yeah.
Lower Decks.
Well, I don't have that one because that's just ridiculous in a good way.
Well, here's the deal. Here's the Voyager Q episodes were really bad because
no, they weren't.
They were because they reverted Q. Listen, the Q in the Next Generation wasn't an antagonist as much.
Okay, let me frame the question this way for you, Jason, because I really am interested in your answer on this. Which Q It's spelled with an E, by the way. Stop it with an E.
Stop it.
Which Q would you, from which episode would you characterize as the sine qua non of Q?
What the hell does that
like,
word even
It's been a
mean?
long week. Could you
What?
explain that word just a
It
little
means
bit?
the quintessential Q, like Q at his best.
Either.
Quinn Q. Death
No.
Wish Q.
The cues, the definitive cues for me are in 3 episodes.
Not definitive, best, like the
Best.
best representation of Q.
All
Pick
good things.
one. I challenge you.
All
All right,
all good things.
things.
Okay, what do you think, Travis?
Tapestry.
So far, Travis is winning. Justin? Oh, Justin's gone. Sun.
Death Wish.
Which one was Death Wish?
Voyager season 2.
Q and the Quinn Q. The Q
Right,
that wants
right.
to kill himself.
Mm-hmm.
That sparks the whole Civil War to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
It is season 2. That is season 2.
I thought that was Q2.
No, that was season 7.
Raul, do you have a thought on this?
Yes, unfortunately, the actor has said that he is tired of Star Trek, which is, I think, something you're ignoring about Q. That despite all these back and forths about when Q has appeared and when Q has not appeared, if they don't offer him a shit ton of money, he's not coming back.
It don't matter because they can CGI a Q in and use his voice.
They're not going to do that, dude. It would look so fake.
They did it
So-
to Data.
Okay. So
yeah,
here's a
for
story.
in a dark room, and very short scenes.
And
So-
that was actually
Okay.
Brent Spiner in the room. The actor was there.
They could bring in Junior though.
Okay.
No.
So as far as Q coming back, as far as John Delancey coming back, he did a cameo. This is actually written up in Trek movie back in December.
Yep.
And
I
he
was gonna
said,
point that out.
you're going to be seeing more of me. Cheers and Merry Christmas. So John Delancey is totally down for reprising his role. And I go back to he's just a complex. They're very bad Q episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of them.
Counter a far point.
And no, that was a great Q up. That was
That was a terrible episode. Period.
It
Well,
wasn't.
The episode wasn't so great, but the Q-ness was fun.
Not
Bad
really.
Q episode was his appearance on DS9.
Oh, yeah,
that
the
was
one where-
only one.
yeah,
The
where he
worst
got
Q,
punched
yeah,
by-
the worst Q episodes were the ones where he was not on TNG or Lower Decks.
The worst episode of Q, or the worst appearance of Q, is the one where he has a Riker fighting all those alien dudes in like a Civil War getup
I
or
think
Civil
that's
War looking getup.
hide and Q. Hide and Q.
No, but again, though, he's challenging.
Right?
Q represents a challenge, like, to the human hubris that they understand either humanity or the universe as they know it. Like Q was a foil to Picard because in Encounter at Farpoint, he was the one who challenged Picard to think bigger than just a spaceship, and the mystery.
Well, you certainly saw that in, was it Q Who, where he introduced into the Borg? That is actually next to Tapestry, which I think is a great. I agree with you, Travis. That's the best Q episode in terms of his character, but in terms of his role in the Star Trek universe, what he did in Q Who was brilliant.
I really need to rewatch that episode.
But he does the same
honestly.
thing in All Good Things when he forces Picard to consider the possibilities of the paradox.
Sure, but that's like on an abstract level, which is fine. But I just think that what you saw was more of a direct challenge to his worldview in Q Who.
No, I agree, and I don't again like that's why TNG Q is way better than Deep Space Nine and Voyager Q, because in Deep Space Nine and Voyager Q they were just caricatures of what he did in TNG and who he was in TNG.
Okay. All right. So we will revisit this as we go through. Personally, I'm going to guess and hope that the Q appearances are going to be in like Prodigy and Lower Decks, where I'm totally fine with that. Although
they're going to do it just to piss you off, because I've already told them to do it.
If they can restrain themselves from doing stupid Q things and do what you're suggesting, Jason, I would be on board with that. So
we could also totally see Q on Discovery.
So Rogue Danar was the smuggler guy that was trying to get that couple together.
Which couple?
The two different worlds, Princess Girl and Prince Dude from two different worlds.
Is this a really rather forgettable episode? Because I've forgotten it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's probably
a completely different, different episode.
Okay, so let's move on to a more monumental Star Trek topic. And I know this means a lot to Ensign Beard Fossé. This week marked the 25th anniversary of your favorite Star Trek Voyager episode, which is when humanity finally broke the Warp 10 barrier, and it was so incredible that they turned into fucking lizards. That was 25 years ago this week, folks. Thoughts? We'll start with you, Fossé, because I know you love this episode so much.
Is it any coincidence that it's also your birthday?
I know.
Well, today is, but I don't think it was. It was the 29th of January because
that's how Lane came to be.
No. Lane is pure and good. Lane is pure and good. Ross, you look like you have something to say.
I really don't. This is one episode of Voyager that I'd really rather forget. It contributes absolutely nothing to Voyager as a whole, and even the writers, actors, and producers decided to just forget about it after it happened because it was never ever referenced again. Even Star Trek Online has not acknowledged its existence.
Yeah,
in any of the.
No, they need to make a race of Janeway Paris lizard babies.
No, and
I mean they did go back to the Delta Quadrant, so
and it was
how would they be different from regular Janeway Paris babies?
All right, I am actually gonna come up and
I'm gonna defend this episode.
I was gonna offer a little bit of
really okay. Travis, you start then, son.
Threshold to me, all right, I will say this outright first. Threshold is a bad episode, but.
Okay, we're done then.
No. Hear me out.
Okay. Come on, make it quick.
I found a lot of the episode to be very intriguing and really kind of gripping for a good amount of the runtime. It
was gripping for some folks.
The lizard love it.
Enough.
They were like lizards with mustaches.
If I see that GIF one more time, I'm going to leave.
It's only so much, Justin.
All right. So anyway, as I was saying, I do believe that a lot of the runtime of this episode is actually really it's really intriguing. The whole concept of trying to break the Warp 10 threshold was something I was totally on board with, and I thought they did a really cool
until
job
I actually saw them do it.
And again, it really isn't until that very final act where everything just kind of falls apart for me. When I ranked what I believed were the 30 worst episodes of Star Trek, this didn't even crack the top 10 with me, and mainly because as bad as this episode got towards that final act, it just wasn't enough to really break me as some other episodes have done.
Wait.
And
I just want to throw up here. This crew is 70,000 light years from home. 70 years. They discover a way to go warp 10. Yes, there's some adverse effects. They figure out how to fix the adverse effects.
Hey, I'm right there.
Why the fuck didn't they go home?
I know where you're going with that. And I'm totally on board with it. I totally agree with it. Like I said, it made my worst of the worst for a reason. It's just with me, it was just one of those I've seen worse. this episode gets far too much flack when there are shitters like Justice out there, or Turnabout Intruder, or Extinction, or Code of Honor.
For me, here's the difference. Okay, for me, things like Turnabout Intruder and some of the other ones, the very premise was just kind of dumb. The premise of Threshold was not dumb. The premise being able to break the warp 10 barrier. I was intrigued. Like when I first read the plot synopsis, I was like, awesome. I want to see how they do this and what the repercussions are. And then we just saw fucking lizards, literally. And that was why it was such a huge disappointment to me.
You know why else this is such a disappointment? Because it's been done before and well in Star Trek.
Like, what's a good example of
I can't remember the name of the episode, but it was the one where Geordi and a couple other people started morphing into chameleons.
Oh, you're talking about Identity Crisis.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
It's been done before, and it was done well. Identity Crisis is one of the highlights of TNG for me.
Why do I just call so many of these goddamn episodes?
You're really good at that, Travis.
Because you are good.
Yes, you are, for sure.
You're not the admin for the largest Star Trek group for no reason.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was one of the better episodes.
William Shatner, tell me to get a life.
No, we like your life. We like your life because Lane is in it.
We like having a walking encyclopedia
Here's
that we
the
can
deal.
learn information.
This episode highlights everything that's wrong with Voyager.
I absolutely agree.
It is
I love your Voyager rants.
It takes a great high sci-fi concept,
Mhm.
and then utterly shits on it. It doesn't deliver based on the concept, and it's the same problem throughout Voyager.
Voyager was so bad. That is why Enterprise was fucked up.
There was a lot of good in Voyager. Yes, they got a lot bad, but there's some good. There's good that deserves to be celebrated.
Ross, my point is that Voyager was this really good concept, right? We're going to take this crew and we're going to throw them across the galaxy. And I've ranted about this before. We're gonna stretch them to the limits. We're going to test them. We're going to do the Starfleet ideals hold? Yes or no? And are they are they better for it? Are they worse? Whatever. And that didn't happen at all. Like we got
it happens sometimes. We got tastes of it.
We got tastes of it, but it never fulfilled the promise of the premise. And
I agree with you there. Sure.
And just like this episode didn't deliver to the promise of the premise.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so
I don't get to do mine.
Yeah. You were next.
Okay, so the biggest problem that I think a lot of people have with this episode of Voyager is that it's kind of a Discovery thing before we ever got Discovery. And that is to say that most of the stuff that happens in this episode was set up in previous episodes of Voyager. The fact that Janeway also becomes the gecko lizard thing was set up when she has that.
He kidnaps her, right? Doesn't he kidnap her and then they have the sex?
Right.
Yeah, Tom Paris kidnaps her.
Here's the thing. When she has her first little spirit voyage from Chakotay, her spirit animal is the little fucking gecko.
Oh God!
That's true.
Oh God!
Hey,
the whole time,
and that
the whole time
gecko.
that they've been working to get home, Paris has been on this weird thing about trying to break the warp 10 thing for like episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And when it gets to the point of actually him going through whatever the hell's going on, and you start getting into like the actual science of de-evolution or pro-evolution or whatever the hell you want to call what he transforms into. The fact of the matter is that any animal creature will call out to mate. That's why he kidnapped Janeway, because he already sensed that whatever messed up gene was. Whatever gene it was that caused him to evolve, he sensed that in her. And then he kidnapped her.
Okay, that makes its own weird sense. Sure, yeah.
But see, that's explained in the episode, and nobody ever seems to realize that it's said.
Well, I agree with you. Unfortunately, I don't think it improves the episode. You know, all it does is say that, you know, they built on a thread that they've been building for a while, but they really dropped the ball. Yeah.
Again, I say this because it's literally an episode of like Discovery, pre-Discovery.
Oh,
I don't think I don't think I would rate any episode of Discovery as bad as Threshold. Sorry, I just wouldn't. Threshold was bad. It was
They literally plucked Book out of nowhere and said, "Here, go into the spore drive, communicate with the spores, and jump us."
They had established his empathic abilities from episode 1. So
yeah, empathic abilities, not able to literally communicate with fucking fungus. He was able to communicate with animals,
except
not fungus.
Well, you don't know that. You don't know the abilities. The point is, it didn't come out of nowhere. It didn't.
No, it did come out of nowhere because if he had an interaction with the fucking spores, then you could say it didn't come out of nowhere.
Right.
But he didn't.
He coaxed a plant to heal Burnham in episode 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think they established, in general, in rough outlines, they established the ability. But we know the spores have a certain kind of intelligence because we've seen that before. So, and feelings. So I don't think it was a ludicrous notion that he could do that. Nothing more than feelings. Okay, this has been a better discussion than I expected out of the 25th anniversary of Threshold. So thank you all for your thoughts on that. You certainly gave me a lot to think about, and I'm sure one another as well. So
wait until we get to the anniversary of These Are the Voyages.
Oh God!
Best episode of Enterprise.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Quiet.
Okay, so we're going to switch away from Star Trek. Those are all our Star Trek topics for the week. We're going to switch over to WandaVision, which for its 4th episode, which came this week, today, Friday. Important and interesting things happened. Yes.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Justin, for remembering to do that. So those of you who don't want to be spoiled, take out your whatever. We'll put up a high sign of some sort. Justin, find a high sign, maybe 2 lizards fucking or something, so people know it's time to come back. Yes, thank you. Don't now, because now people are going to come back. Ooh, you just got. Ooh, look at that. By the way, Travis, I love those gloves, the fingerless gloves. They totally work for me. Okay, so WandaVision, 4th episode. We finally break out of the sitcoms that we've seen in episodes 1 through 3. The title of the episode, of course, appropriately was "We Interrupt This Show." What was it? We interrupt this broadcast? It was something. I think it was show.
We interrupt this program.
Thank you. And in fact, they do, because we actually finally get a sense of what is the context in which this is happening, a lot of which confirms some of our theories over the last couple of weeks. And we also find out that the Geraldine character, who was in those first few episodes, is someone we've seen before and now in the MCU, and now know much more about her role as one of the leaders of SWORD, the sort of a partner organization to S.H.I.E.L.D. stands for,
Sentient Weapons.
Organization.
Go Gadget Google.
Go Gadget Google. Anyway, it's a
Damn it, Travis.
So WandaVision is fucking Pokemon, Sword and Shield.
So in WandaVision now we
Sentient Weapons Observation and Research Division.
Right, and they actually their role is to actively defend the Earth from alien invasion. Of course, they mess up some of that. Around.
It's a successor to S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, they actually were not successors. They were coexistent, at least according to what I read today.
It looks more like, as it's presented here, it's more of a successor organization.
Well, it still exists in a way that Shield no longer does, but it actually existed before.
It is fulfilling the function that Shield would be doing if Hydra hadn't taken over.
That's not my understanding from what I read, is that they're basically like the CIA and the FBI. They're both very powerful and have some overlap of functions, but their reasons for being are different things.
We'll see as we get more information.
Yeah, we will. But that was what I read today. And in fact, I did get a chance to link to it, but there was a thing that popped up on my Google alert while we earlier during the episode that said something like Marvel confirms that WandaVision is definitely a part of the MCU.
Yeah.
Which I think we always sort of assumed, but now it's official.
Yeah, we see it with the first scene of this episode.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
We got a really good look at what happens to a person when they were what they call it, the blip.
The blip, yes. Oh,
yeah.
I think let's talk about that scene, because you remember last week I talked about how I would be super disappointed if they didn't give us this bigger context in a way that really, justified the kind of the weird, wacky zaniness that we saw in the first 3 episodes. And the post blip introduction, cold open that we see to this, I think totally did that. Tell us more about that, Ross, and then you other guys tell me what you thought about that first scene.
We didn't see any of the reforming in Avengers. It was just Hulk snapped his fingers and everyone was back in place. We saw a little bit in Spider-Man Homecoming when we saw the marching band just materialize in the middle of a basketball game. But in this case, it turns out it was Monica that had been dusted. So we see her slowly reform and rematerialize, and she actually looks down and sees her own hands materialize in front of her. And just the chaos and confusion of that moment was probably about exactly how it seemed to people. These people who have been gone for over 5 years just suddenly popping into existence, and everyone's wondering, whoa, everything's different. What the hell happened? I've only been gone a second.
Yeah, exactly. What I thought made this episode really work was that first scene, because you really felt on a kind of a human scale what the blip meant. You saw it as, in the chaos in the hospital. You saw it in terms of her own reaction to her mother's death, and all of that. And that really gave it counterbalances. I was going to say offsets, but it counterbalances the kind of funny zaniness we saw of in the first 3 episodes in a way that just gave this episode more weight than it might otherwise have had.
Busy.
Hey, Travis and Lane, get a room.
I mean,
anyway, so that's how I took it, and that's why I think this was
neighbors.
Carlos, they are in a room.
Not leave it out in the backyard.
Well, a room where we don't have to see this going on. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so other thoughts on WandaVision episode 4.
You signaled for me.
There was so much to take in with this episode. I loved how we've got little bits from a bunch of the different major players of the MCU. We got the FBI agent from Ant-Man 2.
Yep.
That was I love how he shows up and he flicks his card out. He's been practicing. He got it down. He got the trick down.
Yeah. He was it was funny because they balanced the humor with the big deal that they're going on. I love that they brought back Kat Dennings. She was awesome in this episode. Again, very lighthearted about something that was very serious. I thought it was a great balance between all those different elements. I loved it.
And the fact that all these missing people, the people closest to them, don't even know they exist. The police officer that they met at the border of the town said the town didn't exist.
Right.
So what's happening is more than just this distortion of space-time. It's reality itself being rewritten around this place.
Mhm.
And everything that inside is inside and insular and is
controlled by
and completely isolated in a way that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And yes, under the complete control of Wanda.
Yeah. And what I loved was how they showed kind of the things that the weird things, anomalous things that we saw in the first 3 episodes. You get to see how they came to be, you know, the beekeeper, the what were the other ones? The radio stuff.
Yep.
Those kinds of things. And of course, Monica or Geraldine herself talking about Ultron. And you actually really get a sense of Wanda, like she's nuts, whether it's out of grief or whatever, but she's like, when you see her like do her little hex thing and then cast Monica out of the thing. It's there's some malevolence there, I think, that they portrayed pretty powerfully.
Yeah, she's not a happy person, and you probably see. I'm interested to see how they develop this so far. It's this episode is actually really good. I like getting kind of a backstory of everything. So I hope we get to see more on the outside.
I think we will from this point. You'll see a mix of the two. Do you guys remember off the top of your heads how many episodes we get? Is it 8?
I think it's 8.
Okay.
And I think I asked that last.
So we're halfway through.
Yeah, I asked that last episode how many episodes. I think it's 8.
Okay. All right. So we're at the
Vision. Holy shit. We got a glimpse of the real Vision.
Oh, yes. Right. Right. And it terrified her,
He's
remember?
Animated his body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she's the one who's channeling life into him or if she somehow re-imbued life within him, but he's still that broken husk that Thanos left discarded at the end of Endgame.
I feel like she's just reanimating him.
I mean, Infinity War.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Infinity War. Yeah. My feeling is that this is completely her fantasy. She's reanimating him. There isn't anything to him other than what she's putting in, That's just my guess.
So, speaking of terrifying things, I kind of made my way inside.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there are dead people in here.
And
they seem to be cabled to this biomass thing that's all over the place.
Get out while you still can.
Is William Shatner in there?
Outside.
I see dead people. Ah.
Indeed.
I got to say, I love the fact that you're not inducing seizures now whenever.
It is very nice. I will say I haven't found William Shatner, but I did see a guy a couple of rooms back that looked like Mitch McConnell.
if only.
It's probably the real Mitch McConnell, too.
If only. Okay, so let's do a quick round robin for those of you who, I guess just the 3 or 4 of us, of where you think we're going from here with WandaVision. Ross, why don't you start us off?
Ooh, where are we going? I don't know what Wanda's end game for this is. Whether she wants to, if she's trying to create a fantasy world for her to just reside in for the rest of her life, or if she's just trying to fulfill a need that she feels was robbed with her by Thanos in Infinity War. It's hard to say. I don't know what her end goal is. I'm not sure what she wants out of this. Where is the logical end of this fantasy that she's built around herself? And what are the further implications of Sword and everybody else on the outside trying to get in and understand? Mm-hmm. Whether that's going to cause her to lash out at people outside and what's going to happen to the people who are still trapped inside, living this fantasy world with her. I have more questions than I have answers.
All right. Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, like I said, we're going to see Sword probably try to take more active stance and try to take her down because they don't understand what's going on. And now that she's literally thrown an agent out the bubble, it could lead to an escalation. So they're not going to understand what's going on, and they're probably going to do a knee-jerk reaction. I'm wondering if we ain't going to see Nick Fury pop in somewhere. I would be real surprised considering this sword that we're dealing with that we don't see Nick Fury at some point. If not Agent Coulson, some other members of S.H.I.E.L.D. But the sky's really the limit with these shows. I mean, that's what's so cool about it. They're doing everything they can to incorporate little nuggets here and there. So it's really, kind of up in the air.
Yeah, Raul is pointing out in our private chat that Sword is separate from S.H.I.E.L.D. and that they're co-equal partners, which was the point I was making earlier. Yeah. I don't think we'll see S.H.I.E.L.D. This is Sword show, not.
Yeah, I mean,
S.H.I.E.L.D. has its own show. It has its own show.
It had its own show.
The S.H.I.E.L.D. show isn't connected to the MCU.
I thought it was.
It was produced by a different branch.
Well, sure, but they said it was connected to the MCU.
Yes, but it's
unless
not.
They retconned that.
They retconned that. WandaVision is being handled by Marvel Studios.
Well, no, I understand that, but my point is that
it's one way. Things that happen in the MCU affect Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but things that happen in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Fine, but that's actually my point, which is S.H.I.E.L.D. is unimportant here. This is a story about
right, but we might see some of the actors from S.H.I.E.L.D.
I don't think so.
Maybe. I have your answer, Ross.
Yes?
There is no end game for Wanda. This is a coping mechanism.
Say more about that, son.
This is a coping mechanism on a grand scale simply because she has the power to pull it off. She is still mourning the loss of her basically her everything.
Yeah.
And she is channeling everything that she is into recreating not only the time that you, like you said, that the time that she lost, but also the time that was stolen from her by Thanos. And whether the repercussions involve real people or not, this is her basically fulfilling wish fulfillment for the grieving, and no amount of interference from Sword is going to help her. Period, because it's only going to make her withdraw more and more and more, just like anyone else that goes through grief. She just has the power to literally manifest the means to kill everyone of Sword if they get more involved.
I think your description is absolutely correct, except for one thing, which is I think they are going to shock her out of it because they think that's what they need to do. And how she reacts to that is not going to be good. I think she's going to do something that, like in the comics, and I mentioned this last week too, in the comics, Scarlet Witch makes this huge, profound change to the Marvel universe. And I think she's going to end up doing the same kind of thing here, even if it's not the same exact thing.
No more mutants.
Yeah, those were her 3 words. Simply no more mutants. And then everything for like a year, or was it 2 years? After a while, was all what that actually meant in real terms in Marvel's quote unquote real world. And we're going to see something like that too. She's going to say something that sounds really simple, but the implications are going to be far reaching and deep. And that's where I think I would depart from your speculation there. But I think at its essence, what you're describing is exactly right. It's a huge coping mechanism writ large because she has the power to pull it off. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone?
And I haven't even watched a single episode of it. So
I know you're good. You're good. Raul, do you want to pitch in anything here? Since I know you're a Marvel expert.
She is an alpha level threat. She is the same as Apocalypse. She is the same as Thanos. She is a threat. Governments of the world, and don't forget her father is a terrorist. So, and her brother is a terrorist, technically too, by the world governments. So
He's dead though.
Yeah. Well, no, that's fine. But remember, it's her world now. And you're dealing with a person that allows a lot of injustice to happen on her watch because she's not well. And I would be careful about plotting too carefully a road with her. It's a wild what she can do, and you guys are in for a great ride with WandaVision.
Yeah, I actually am very hopeful this week where I was still a little skeptical last week. Okay, any final thoughts on WandaVision before we move ahead?
Eager to see what happens next.
Yes, I am as well.
I'm eager to hear what happens next, so I can formulate all the stuff that's going on.
Indeed, you probably should get around to watching it. They're only like half-hour episodes, so a little bit longer than half hour. So they're easy to catch up on. Okay, let's go to the other show we've been watching lately, which is The Expanse, which had its 9th episode this week. It is its penultimate episode. There is one episode left of The Expanse for season 5, and in it we see a lot of the different storylines coming together. There have been some complaints out in the fandom that the storylines have been too separate, but now we're seeing them very quickly start to begin to intersect. So this episode, how did it land? Justin, you are you still there, Justin, or did you?
I'm here. It actually was a pretty good paced episode. It started off really good, and the pacing was all right. I thought everything started to come together really well. I don't know if they're going to be able to tie everything up next episode. They're probably going to leave.
Go ahead.
I think they're going to leave us with a cliffhanger, just by the way things are playing out. We all knew Madame Sorello was going to end up back in charge. That was a given.
We debated this a little bit last week too, and they don't really end their seasons with cliffhangers. They end their seasons, they wrap up the storylines for the season, and then open sort of a new set of possibilities for the next season. And I think they're going to do the same thing here. And I complained about this last week, and the article in which the Expanse author, the book author, says that he thinks that the season 5 finale is going to satisfy, well, frankly, people like me who are, I love the show this season. I just feel like the pace has been off, and I feel like they have one episode left. They have 1 hour in which to resolve everything. I just don't know how they're going to do it. And if they pull it off, I will be the first to eat crow on it because I love this show. I just feel like
this is the first season produced by Amazon, right?
Carlos,
yeah.
The Mandalorian.
Yes.
The Mandalorian.
Yes.
How the hell are they going to pull off whatever the hell it is when they've got 3 episodes left?
Yeah. Yes, I remember I had similar concerns, and they did, I think, largely. But
trust the writing staff.
Well,
You've already been trusting them.
Yeah, I want to. I think they have done really good work. I just hope they didn't set up for themselves a larger challenge than they're actually able to pull off. And like I said, I'll be the first to be happy to be wrong about this, just because I do love this show so much. But we only have one episode or one season left after this, and it's just we'll see. These characters have been kept apart all season, literally until the very last episode.
Well, we already know one's not going to be there next season.
Well, right, we talked about that last week, but so these storylines have been very divergent. I can see what they're leading towards. hope that they're able to do it in a way that satisfies. And like the Mandalorian, I think you're right. I mean, son, I had similar concerns, but the Mandalorian its storylines are not as complex as the Expanses are. The Expanses are very, very complex under
Yeah, you got like
Mandalorians
five
are
storylines.
basically straightforward.
Yeah, you got like 5 storylines going on at once in the Expanse, where the Mandalorian you maybe had like 2.
Yeah, well, and it's not just the number of storylines. It's like what's going on in each storyline. Like this is really deep stuff. Like what you see the character of Naomi going through. It's like no one in The Mandalorian is at that level. I mean, it's a much deeper drama.
The way
But
you explain this really does remind me of that movie Crash.
Did you like Crash?
I did enjoy Crash.
I did too, actually.
It wasn't until the very end of the movie where I realized all of these stories were actually connected together.
Yeah. No, I thought they largely pulled that off too. So,
Raul, you said you wanted to roll.
Yes, I met one of the writers, and he told me a few of the stories that go behind the Expanse. First of all, you should know that both of the writers are basically tutored or mentored by George R. Martin himself.
mm-hmm.
So the complexity of the plot should not surprise anybody, because they are, and it's been called Game of Thrones in space.
Yeah.
And so I would trust in the writing team. They not only are they connected to somebody like George R. R. Martin, but they're connected to a bunch of other people who have connections into Hollywood themselves before they were The Expanse, the TV show. So I would trust in the writing team at this point.
Okay. Well, I guess we have to, right? Okay. And I think that should wind us up, unless anybody has final thoughts on The Expanse as we go into its season finale next week. And we've got some quick news to go over. So Travis and Lane, come on back. Ross, come on back. Jason, if you're out there somewhere, come on back. Excellent. We're just going to go over through some of the quick news bullets from the week. Number one.
You are interrupting a very, very important conversation that we're having here.
Travis,
Do you take your time? Don't. Oh my God. Just
Justin,
more than twice an episode, okay, Justin?
you gotta restrain yourself.
Yeah, really. I mean, frankly, this week you had a couple where it was absolutely perfect, but just 2, I think, is maximum. I think will work. Okay, so news bullet number 1 is we have a release date for the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Are we happy about this? It is March 18th. Before they had said May. Now it's March. What do we think of that, Ross?
I'm indifferent.
You think it's a lot of sound and fury signifying nothing?
Pretty much. The Justice League movie was middling. It was meh.
The argument here is that it was middling because they didn't go with, essentially.
I think the source material they already had was meh.
Mm-hmm.
And Joss Whedon tried his best to mix it up and make it fun, but the problem is the differences in what was originally shot and what Joss thought are so jarring that it's kind of hard to it takes you out of the action.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll watch it, but I'm not holding my breath for it.
Yeah, if it was released to theaters, would it be a waste of your time?
I'm not going into a theater for a good long while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, assuming theaters were open.
Assuming theaters were open and it was safe to do so, I'd probably wait a couple weeks.
Yeah. To see what other people say.
Yeah, well, that and just to ease up on the crowds, so to get away from the release the Snyder crowd, the zealots.
This crowd as people think it is, but maybe. Okay, so Jason, what do you think? Snyder Cut, March 18th.
So I haven't seen Justice League at all. So this will be I just
Do you want
really
to now? I mean, or do you want to just wait until you go in completely fresh?
I'm going in completely fresh. I'm gonna, because so many people were so disappointed by Whedon's vision, And so I figure, I'll watch the Snyder Cut, see what I think, and then if I feel like I need to go back and watch the Whedon version, I will. Superman is my favorite comic book hero. I loved the death of the Superman and the rebirth of Superman stories. I kind of wish they had done some of the Superman. I think the story is really accelerated, and it could have played out a little bit longer. But no, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. If it was in the theater, I mean, will it be in the theaters?
I don't know if they're. I mean, I think the original idea was they were going to release simultaneously, but with COVID, who knows now?
I mean, I'll be like 3 weeks into post, or over a month post vaccine. I'll be post my second booster by that point. That point. So if it's in theaters, I may actually go see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
person than me.
I know here in Washington State on Monday we're actually going into a partial lifting of the lockdown. So they're going to be opening up stores and restaurants and stuff at reduced capacity, big reduced capacity, 25%.
Oh, you'll finally get to go back to a buffet.
I don't think they're going to do buffets, but I can go. I can go to the French restaurant, down the hill that makes the most amazing French onion soup.
So fat.
Beignets. I'm happy to get fat on those things.
So fat.
Yeah. Okay. Other thoughts? Raul, do you have an opinion on Justice League?
Henry Cavill is the best Superman, bar none.
On the remastered version.
Even better.
On any version.
Even better than Christopher Reeve?
Much better than Christopher Reeves.
Jason, what do you think about that? You're making him hyperventilate.
Now you know the pain I can feel.
Indeed.
Breathe, Jason. Breathe.
So,
okay. Jump your light.
Excuse me. So having there you go. That's what Jason has to say to you. Funko Pop. So having said that, Raul, do you want to expound a little bit about how much or whether you were looking forward to the Snyder Cut of Justice League?
I am looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's always important to get the director's actual vision instead of the hacked up studio version.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that as a director yourself, Carlos, you would rather have your vision out there than somebody else's that wasn't even involved.
Well, I'm actually a producer, so I'm the guy who does.
I'm sorry. It's been a long time. I apologize.
They call Carlos the worst. They call Carlos the worst for a reason.
Yeah. But for the same reason that you're talking about, which is about a vision. So it's just sometimes, yes, I am the worst. It's just that sometimes directors have a self-indulgent approach to their vision, and that's why producers make them cut stuff out of their director's cuts. Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of what's at work here for me too. Is I didn't really like Zack Snyder's vision of the DC universe. I thought it was too grim. It was too dark. While I loved Henry Cavill as Superman, I did not like the Superman in that movie. I didn't like him.
I love Man of Steel.
Yeah, Man of Steel.
You didn't find him like you didn't find him like he had. Jonathan Kent told him, "Don't be a hero." Like that is the antithesis of the Jonathan Kent.
Because
he believed him.
Because he's a father.
Right. Because he was protecting his son. Like,
yeah, you would do anything for your children.
I think Jonathan Kent saw a bigger world than just his son and just his family, and saw things like a responsibility with power and things like that. That the comics, I think, have always done a great job of portraying Superman and his ideals, and the Superman did not have ideals.
To be honest, he did have ideals, but it was a different portrayal. It was him as the alien, not him as the American Superman. It was him as the alien creature on Earth, masquerading as a human being. It was a different approach. It was just a different viewpoint.
No, I agree with you on that. I thought that aspect of it was really strong. But my point is that the reason he is a great American hero is because he's an alien, because he's an immigrant, because he embodies what it is people from outside can bring inside and make the inside stronger.
But his father was wise. You understand, the father in that movie actually thought about his son and the danger it would pose to his son, and it was a very selfless moment. He knew the good his son could do, but he knew the damage it would do to his son, to the human cost to him. I thought anyway. It's unfortunately the movie did not do as well as neither me nor Ensign Beard would love to have.
I really listen. My favorite Superman is going to be Christopher Reeve for all time. Like there, I
understand.
I don't think you can get better than that. Just that's me. Henry Cavill did a great job. It's a great modern retelling of something that's been retold and retold and retold. Mm-hmm. I actually appreciate that. Jonathan in The Man of Steel was there to protect Clark, and I think yes, Jonathan in this iteration was flawed. He did put his son over what he could be for the world, and so I understand that perspective, Carlos. Mm-hmm. But I also think that the Man of Steel especially was about Clark embracing hope. So like when you get to the point to where, he dons the suit and he's there and the general's like, what is that? What is that on your chest? What is the S on your chest? Or Lois like, what? He's like, it means hope. And he realizes that he has to bring hope. And even to the point, and this is like one of my bitches against like the Discovery criticism. Sometimes you can only see light through the dark. And the light and the hope only comes. You only appreciate it coming from the darkest hour, and I think that's what the Superman does. I really did like Man of Steel. I think my biggest criticism of this DC universe is that they didn't earn their crossovers the way Marvel did.
Yeah,
and
that's they tried to catch up too fast.
Right. That's my biggest gripe. Mm-hmm. After Batman versus Superman, there should have been some more between there, and I really do. I would have loved to have seen the rise of the Superman as a follow up to Batman versus Superman, as opposed to going right to Justice League. That's part of the reason why I didn't go to watch Justice League, was because those stories are one of the most pivotal stories of my childhood. Growing up was reading Cyborg Superman versus John Henry versus Superboy versus mm-hmm. And so I felt that was a little cheapened, but I considering that Zack Snyder built this universe or started telling these stories, I want to see how he finished it.
Okay, well, I mean, I do too. I'm just not as hopeful, but we will see in 2 months or month and a half or so. We will revisit what we actually think of the Snyder cut, the Snyder version of Justice League. So we were talking about Joss Whedon and what the tonal issues that he created in taking over from Zack Snyder in Justice League. Joss Whedon who was once the darling of the genres, has fallen quite a bit in recent years with accusations of sexual improprieties and such like sexual harassment, I guess. And his star no longer shines as brightly as it did. And this week's news that kind of is the latest installment of that drama was that he is being replaced by HBO as the writer, producer, showrunner of an interesting show planned for HBO called The Nevers, which is about a group of essentially superhero women in the Victorian age who, combat enemies and apparently sexism, I guess. It does sound pretty interesting, but Joss Whedon will no longer be a part of it. In fact, a woman whose name is escaping me at the moment, Philippa Goslett, is taking over as head writer and show runner for the Nevers now that Joss Whedon is no longer on. I wasn't able to find anything that talks about precisely why he's leaving, if it was his choice, or if it was HBO's insistence, or if it was a little of both. So are any of you interested in this show, or do you have any final, probably not final, but any thoughts about Joss Whedon and his role now and from a historical perspective around some of these genre things that once dominated so much?
Well, it's sad because when he was doing Buffy, he was literally the paragon for progressive values in Hollywood. He started the careers of many stars, and you never heard of anybody on that show doing this, but apparently he was doing it all this time. So.
Mm-hmm. And I was wrong. Actually, I was taking a look at the article again. It does talk about, at least from a contextual standpoint, that, as you know, HBO is owned by Warner Brothers, and that they're the ones who investigated allegations of his behavior during Justice League. And Ray Fisher, of course, who played Cyborg in Justice League, had made a lot of very specific accusations about how he was treated and how he saw others were treated on set by Joss Whedon, and it was not a pleasant experience from his standpoint, and that may explain, and is part of the investigation that ensued as a result of that. Warner Brothers said they were taking actions, although they never said what they were, or if whether Joss Whedon leaving the Nevers is one of those actions, but it could.
Do you know if this was before or after the Cyborg actor announced that he was stepping away from the franchise?
He was not stepping. Are you talking about Cyborg stepping away? He wasn't. He was not offered a role in the future.
Well,
no, didn't they cut his role from the Flash?
They cut his role.
Yeah, he's not invited back, which is its own problematic thing. But they did do an investigation as a result of his complaints, and they certainly, as far as they're legally able to say that, they see that they can do something to prevent this in the future, they committed to that, and this may be one of the ways, although they don't say that explicitly.
I don't know. I look at the whole thing and I go, you just. It's easy to fall into that trap when you think you have that kind of power.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever the hell that's been going on in Whedon's head since, even since back during Buffy, whatever the hell that had him be that star also probably was what led to his downfall.
But Whedon's issue is like basically his wife came out and said, as much of a feminist as he is, he cheated on me. He used his authority, used his power as a director or whatever, and had these affairs. Right? That's the gist of the accusation. It's if you're a director and I'm not gonna try to justify infidelity at all, and I'm not gonna try to justify like predatory behavior. But if you're at all your star rises to a certain level, whether it's in the corporate world or whether what are your options to explore relationships? Do you even have that option? Does Joss Whedon have the ability to have a relationship without somebody being able to say it was inappropriate?
Well, the list of complaints against him are long. and come from a lot of people on a lot of movies and shows that he worked on. And not all of them are sexually based, and we should be clear about that. A lot of them are just about sort of abusive behavior towards people on set, actors and others. Even going back as far as Buffy, I mean, one of the allegations is that this stunt team from Buffy claimed he was abusive on set. And that's 25 years ago? So it's not something new. It's just something that's new to us. I can link this. There's this article from Screen Rant that just lists all the different allegations and who they're coming from, and they include people like James Marsters from Buffy and from.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that.
Every time you mention Screen Rant, I die a little inside. Just
I know what you think of Screen Rant, and I have the same thoughts about them from time to time. But
I need to make a badgy gift that says you've mentioned Screen Rant.
Screen Rant is we got this covered.
Yeah, they're not as bad as we got this covered.
Yeah, they cover interesting topics. They do it sometimes in clickbaity ways, but this particular article is literally just a listing of the accusations. It's not anything more than that. So it does a good job of sort of summing them up and showing how long the list is. So, but I get what you're saying, Travis. I hear you on that.
I'm sure.
Yeah, usually whenever we're a show, Ross and I are looking through the trailer, we're just like Screen Rant. See, add it,
so from now on, I'm going to go post every single Star Trek Screen Rant article in the big Star Trek group.
Please don't.
He'll send
Travis.
Lane out after you. Yeah,
Lane is secretly the editor of Screen Rant.
No, he's not.
He's the power behind the throne.
He's the guy behind the guy.
No, he's not.
He's the weasel behind the weasel.
See, he really has his hand up Travis's butt, controlling Travis.
Okay, so all right. That's all we have to say about Joss Whedon, I guess.
Thank God.
But I am interested in the Nevers. I don't know how the concept lands with the rest of you, but I think it sounds interesting. It's like I hope a better version of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which is also about superheroes.
God.
But the comic was excellent.
The comic of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is one of the best pieces of literature ever written. I'll fight anybody over
I
that.
was so pissed about that movie because
the movie wasn't that bad.
Movie was terrible.
The movie was
by
okay.
comparison,
Battlefield Earth.
By comparison,
Battlefield Earth was better.
No. Justin, come on.
What was
I
that?
said Battlefield Earth was better.
No, that is
No.
totally not true.
No.
That is totally not true. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was a very weak film, but it was not unwatchable.
You know what was a better version of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? I don't know how many people watched it, but Penny Dreadful and series.
Yeah.
That was an excellent version of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Yep.
I will ask Carlos this. You say Battlefield Earth is unwatchable.
Oh God.
Am I understanding this correctly?
Yes.
All right. What would you rather watch between Battlefield Earth and Freddy Got Fingered?
I have never seen Freddy Got Fingered, so I don't have any.
Trust me, there are worse films than Battlefield Earth.
No, because
you will have a.
Because Freddy Got Fingered isn't like. Did you ever see Billy Madison?
Another great film,
right? There's a scene in Billy Madison where Billy just got done giving a speech about, or giving a dissertation about a children's book. What is it called? The Dog, whatever. And the person's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Everyone in this room is dumber because of it. That's the result of everybody walking out of the movie theater watching Battlefield Earth.
All right. Well, all right. Here's another comparison.
You're assuming that there's a lot of everybody.
All right. Here's another comparison. What would you rather watch between Battlefield Earth and The Last Airbender?
Last Airbender.
I would watch Last Airbender.
You'd rather watch The Last movie has
Last
absolutely
Airbender.
no heart.
The Last Airbender. I agree with you. It doesn't have heart, and it is a terrible adaptation. But like structurally, it is not a terrible film. Battlefield Earth is just bad all the way through. It's just
and it's propaganda for a really bad religion.
yeah.
I don't see how it's
the thing is that the book is one of science fiction's 100 best books, and that's on a lot of people's lists. It's really a fantastic book.
Okay, Battlefield Earth or Starship Troopers?
Oh,
Starship Troopers any and all days of the week.
Yeah, I would totally watch Starship Troopers over a lot
Starship
of
Troopers.
It's not a bad film at all.
Yeah, it's not.
If you look at it as a satire, it is utterly brilliant.
Right. Satire, yeah.
It's a failure of a satire.
It's a failure of it's another failure of bringing an unbelievable book into the mindset of the popular culture, and people basically said, "Oh my God, we turn into Nazis and we fight bugs."
There is nothing fascist or Nazi in that damn movie.
Well, it's the impression that people got once they got a look at those outfits.
Yes, those were very definite choices in.
I would rather watch Jiggly than Battlefield Earth.
Okay.
Oh wow!
I would that's going too far.
I didn't see Jiggly, so
lost me,
I'm
Justin.
Not exactly sure, but I think I would probably agree with you.
That
Battlefield Earth is just unwatchable.
I don't know. Like maybe one of these days I'll have to write just like this. I have some weird. There's like maybe it's how Sean looks at Star Wars: The Holiday Special. I just have this strange fascination. I just have this kind of strange fascination with Battlefield Earth. There is something like I'm not saying it's good by any means because it's not.
Damn it,
but
John.
there's just like I have this strange, bizarre respect for Battlefield Earth in like this weird, morbid way. I don't know what it is, but it's like an artistically bad. Like it's artistic in its badness for me, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Like
it does, but that's why it's so incredibly disappointing. Like they had a budget, they had actors, some of which were good. They had writers who came from experience. They should have produced a much better film than that turned out to be.
Yeah, holy shit! You're talking about Hollywood. That everybody that worked on that film was part of the religion, and the religion is Hollywood. There's no reason it should have been that bad. There's no reason.
Well, like David Miscavige, the head of the Church of Scientology, was on set every single day. And like he was walking away saying, "Oh, this is going to be the best movie ever. This is going to be the best thing for Scientology. This is the best movie ever." And it turned out when it came out, he was so pissed. I think he excommunicated the director. I mean, he was so pissed. I have
no idea about anything fundamental about Scientology. I've heard that this film has about as much to do with Scientology as like Halloween 3 does with Halloween 1 and 2.
Okay, so here's the deal. Scientology believes that psychology, all of that stuff is inherently evil. What is the villain race of this movie called? Psychos. This movie is steeped in Scientology dogma. It is so like, I mean, and again, like it's a wacky cult of a mess. And
the Cyclones planets are so polluted that a single nuclear bomb was able to destroy the entire race.
Yeah, unwatchable. Okay, we need to move on because we're running quickly out of time. So
Tune in next week
over
for
the average.
I'm sure you'll get another chance to make your case, Travis, but I don't think it's going to be this week. Okay, so we're going to skip ahead to our final segment of the podcast, which is What Are We Watching? And of course, as a reminder for the folks at home who are watching, we will have, after we do our official sign off for the Real Super Geeks, we always do our post-show segment, Florida Man. So stick with us if you're interested in the weirdness and wackiness of Florida Man after we formally conclude the show. So let us begin our what are we watching thing, and please try to keep it brief because we're at over 3 hours for the show so far. So let's start with Sun Seal this week. Sun?
She said she'd be right back.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, yes. There's her thing saying we'll be right back. Let's go to you, Raul.
I've been playing, not watching, the latest expansion for World of Warcraft, which for a series that has had, I believe, 15 years now in development. No, I'm sorry, 18 years of development and 15 years of play. It's actually kind of a mature expansion for the setting. It doesn't treat the characters like idiots. And the storylines are a little more mature and advanced than I had encountered previously. So I recommend it. It's a good expansion, but no expansion is endless, even though they try to make it endless.
Okay, thank you for a quick summary of that. Sun, you are back. We're doing What Are We Watching? Do you want to chime in?
Sure. But first, I have found some weird nexus for all this goo.
Goo?
Yeah, the bio whatever the hell that's running there throughout this place. It's
Ooh.
weird. And it keeps telling me to preserve humanity no matter the cost.
Oh, well, that's not a bad sentiment, right?
Well, it's not unless it starts killing everybody and consuming them.
Well, yeah.
That's what every
We
alien
do know the
race
Soylent
thinks.
Green is made out of people.
It's
so-
true. And tasty. I mean, I've read.
People.
So what I watched this week was a 41-minute mashup of all the things kind of weird about Star Trek and then distorted. So I watched a thing called Star Trek Acid Party this week. And then I posted it to Super Geeks and said, "Hey, Sean, you should probably take a look at this."
Did he? Do you know if he got a chance?
He did the little shock-faced thing, but I don't know if he ever watched it. But yeah, no, it's an hour of just trippy cut up scenes from it's like the old it's like the really old YouTube poop, but it's like an hour long Star Trek YouTube poop.
I gotta see this. I've seen a good Star Trek YouTube poop before. I don't know if you've heard of like the Odyssey or the River or whatever. If you like Star Trek YouTube poop, look up the River Star Trek YouTube poop. You won't be disappointed.
Well, the only thing I could compare this to would be a giant YouTube poop because it's like 1 minute it's the alien people that transform where oh good God, what's his name? Crusher falls in love with the lady and the little girl, and he gives her Jumbalian fudge and all that kind of stuff. And it's like her protector like transforming, and Worf and it looks like they're dancing, and then the next fucking scene is just like a shot of Kronos, and it's just the music changes from this horrible, terrifying thing to peace and serenity, and you're like, fuck is going on? It's like, well, yeah, I guess this would kind of be an acid trip, wouldn't it?
In Star Trek. All right. Interesting. Okay, thank you. Ross, the eyebrows of doom. What occupied your eyes, those eyes beneath those eyebrows?
Well, I wasn't able to watch much during the week itself, but today, during a down moment, as I was browsing a few things, I came across an old classic of mine that I really enjoyed watching back in the day. And I shall ask you a question to see if you can guess what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Would you put your brain in a robot body?
I feel like I might know this.
I feel like I should know this.
Do you want the mustache on or off?
If
It's
you
not
don't know this,
Bicentennial Man, is it?
Too bad.
It's not Bicentennial Man at all. Bicentennial Man was good.
if you don't
No!
get this, I'm taking away your nerd card.
I watched C-Lab 2021.
Oh my god!
That's it.
Appropriate considering the year.
Yes, indeed. Oh my god! I had literally not seen an episode of C-Lab since I was 10.
Now, C-Lab 2020 or C-Lab 2021?
2020.
Okay. 2021 is the parody that
was on.
yeah.
Yeah.
It used cells from the original animation to make an
Mhm.
entirely new show.
No.
It's the kind of animation that paved the way for shows like Archer.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, is it as much a trip as I remember? Although I understand a bit more of it now, going from a fairly young adults 20s or so to 30s now. I understand a lot of the joke. It's still just as fun to watch now as it was then.
Yeah, I was meant to sort of watch it just because as a kid I loved C-Lab 2020 so much, and I thought it as an adult the parody might be really interesting, but I never got around to it. So maybe I should. All right, great. Anything else? All right, that's good enough. Justin, stalwart Justin.
So,
what occupied your brain this week?
Babylon 5 is now on HBO Max, the remastered version, and it's shit.
And is it really a remaster?
No, it's an upscale from.
Yeah, that's totally different, right?
It's a bad upscale. The audio is. They try to redo the audio too, and it's just you can tell they didn't do it correctly. I hope they go in and do it properly because this is just bad. I mean, it's watchable.
They should really just send this out to. I mean, there are plenty of nerds who have mastered some of this software that does really good upscaling.
There's some dude on YouTube, and he's been re-upscaling the original Babylon 5.
Have you seen some of the DS9 upscales?
Yeah, and
the Voyager ones. They're awesome.
It's the same guy that's doing Voyager, Deep Space Nine. He's doing Babylon 5. He's even done Andromeda. He's went in. He's re-upscaled these, and they look really, really good compared to some of these other attempts that look just piss poor by the studio house. Like, I can't believe anyone approved this to go out.
Yeah, that's too bad.
That's because if you want quality, you have to spend money, and a studio doesn't want to spend more money than they can make back.
Right, and Babylon 5, and this is not meant to be.
Oh yeah, it's not. It's
just not as good a show. It's like it's aged horribly.
This was the show that you watched when there was no new Star Trek for the day, or you were up late at night and you just watched Xena or Hercules. It was usually on afterwards.
I hated those shows too.
I guess I have to be a contrarian here because Babylon 5 is kind of awesome in its own right.
I would agree with that. I think in its own right, it did some groundbreaking things. I just don't think they've aged.
Babylon 5, what is it called? The Deep Space Nine, what Deep Space Nine should have been.
No, Deep Space Nine was exactly what it should have been.
Yeah, Deep Space Nine is exactly what it should have been, and it has aged well. It has aged well.
Even the one Come Along Home.
Well,
hey.
every series has its threshold, right?
No, I will say this: like when it comes to the DS9, it's still managed to keep my attention.
Mm-hmm. Come Along Home is as problematic as it is. It really does do a lot with the core character at the end.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Unlike Threshold, which does nothing with any characters except make lizard babies.
Like, I don't think Move Along Home is the worst of DS9 at all. I think Time's Child was far worse.
Yes.
Remind me which one that was.
It's the one where Molly falls into a time vortex and they get her back and she's all feral. And that one is not a good episode.
Yeah. I agree with you.
I like the kids that just tortured O'Brien.
Oh,
Half of Deep Space Nine is Torture O'Brien.
yeah, it really is.
That's why he has a statue.
That's why he has a statue.
That man was a fucking saint.
He really was. Okay.
Make sure to check out the O'Brien comics if you have not. That's some of the funniest reading.
Post some links to that into the group. I would actually like to check that out. Beard Fosse, what were you watching this week?
The wife is finishing up Criminal
You've been
Minds.
blaming the wife for things for the last 3 weeks, I want to point out. Because at some point, you got to step up, be a man, and take responsibility for
I think it's less
the
the wife and more him, and he don't want to admit it.
No, here's the deal. So, with work, it's been kind of crazy, but the kid is going through. Michelle's not very good at math, which is fine, but he's going through geometry now, and it's even worse for the wife to understand. So I get home, I spend an hour or two working with his geometry homework, and at that point, I'm just too done to fight for the remote.
Oh, I see.
So she's watched Criminal Minds, and then The Nightmare Next Door. Again, I think I mentioned this last week. It is like a.
Is this a Lifetime thing?
No. It's an investigative discovery.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a combination, it's basically a true life drama, a crime drama around like murderers and murder situations and people being killed. And they, it's a mix between like actual footage and actual interviews with reenactments. So that's basically what we've been watching.
So that's what you watch. Okay. Travis and Lane.
This week on Disaster Piece.
Oh, God.
Oh, I love Carlos.
You got me in all kinds of trouble this week with Jody Wheeler. Over City Heat on Fire, or whatever the hell that thing was called.
That was a boring movie.
It was awful.
So this week on Disaster Piece, we watched a little gem called Atomic Twister. And no,
with bread.
Though they did reference the game because, of course, they did. So this is a story about a tornado, or a tornadic storm, I should say, because there's multiple tornadoes, because of course there is, that hits this Tennessee town. And this Tennessee town has a nuclear power plant. And it's basically somebody's attempt to combine the Chernobyl disaster with a tornado. And it really doesn't do a good job. Now, I will give credit that this story's narrative is fairly solid. And it actually has some character interactions that I actually gave a damn about. But a lot of it
is the relationship that you have with Lane.
Tornado, I will say, the only thing I will say to his commentary is that tornadoes without sharks is no movie at all, sir.
Don't. Just don't.
You're not wrong.
Well put, Raul.
So, like...
Snakes on a plane.
I like this movie, actually. It's a very funny movie.
Did it intend to be funny?
Look, that's another discussion for another time. I'm talking about I'm talking about a storm movie that tried to do combine tornadoes and Chernobyl, and just really didn't do a very good job.
Okay.
I will say, one of the biggest things that I took away from this movie is wow, this nuclear power plant only has 4 fucking people working in it. No wonder everything's going to shit. I think that they had some good ideas that just were executed terribly. Towards the end of the movie, the tornado just kind of disappears. And the best scene of this, not in the way that they would normally would. If you watch Twister, Like you watch Twister, the tornadoes are shown going away. Here, it's just written off. Like you don't see it go away. It's just like it just disappears.
I hate when tornadoes are killed off screen.
Show not tell, man. Show not
Like
tell.
But two of the best moments in this movie, one of them was like a tornado just has touched down and is coming towards the nuclear power plant. And there's this guy in a shack, and he's like on his phone with his wife, and he's like, "Well, it's super stormy out. Do you know if there's like a tornado watch?" Yeah, I love you too. Hang up, turns around. Oh no, there's a tornado right behind me. Who would have thought? And
that pretty much tells us what we need to know, Travis.
yeah, it does.
It's a shit movie. Okay, gotcha.
Did Lane feel the same way?
He tapped out. He went and watched Chernobyl.
See,
like the actual.
He's a smart weasel.
Is he? Because he had nightmares for like 2 days afterwards.
Well,
I don't watch that stupid shit.
What do you mean? Chernobyl is not stupid shit. That's a great miniseries.
Chernobyl is great.
I didn't say that. Lane said that.
No,
He didn't say that.
I'm
He
not
just
that
had
tired.
nightmares.
I'm
he's
not that
talking
tired.
about he's just nightmarish. Okay, I think we got everyone else. Yes, so I will wrap up with my watching this week. Now, mind you, I did watch like our regular shows, so they're high quality shows. I want to put that out there first. And I also watched the return from hiatus of the show Big Sky on ABC, which was actually really good. But the guilty pleasure, well, more guilty than pleasure, but there was some pleasure. I finally decided to watch on Netflix the series Hollywood, made by Ryan Murphy. And I see what they were trying to do, but man, they went over the top with, well, everything, frankly. Well, let me put it this way. I have made it through the entire series, so it didn't turn me off completely from the series, but I think its reach its grasp exceeded its reach, unfortunately. But I see what they were trying to do, and they had a great cast. So that was, Patty LuPone. Come on. So it had a lot of upsides for sure, but it was in some ways disappointing. But that's my guilty pleasure of the week. And I think that brings us to the end of this week's Real Super Geeks podcast. Folks at home, thank you for joining us this week. Please come back next week on February 5th for our show then. And thank you for sticking with us. We will be sticking around, some of us, for Florida Man. So if you're into the wackiness that is Florida Man, please stick around with us. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to my fellow hosts, Travis and Lane, especially Lane. Stole Justin, answered Beer Fasse, Sunseal, our guest Raul, and of course, the eyebrows of doom, Ross Bullock. And we will see you all next week. And thank you.
Bye.
Great Christmas or great birthday.
And remember, you are loved and appreciated by just your being you.
Indeed.
Don't forget to spay and noodle your pets.
Yes, do take care of that. Play us out, Keyboard Cat.
It's not playing,
We
just.
can't- I'm setting you up for this. We'll do it for you.
Sounds like the same guy that wrote the
I don't understand these people, Lane. I really don't. Why am I still here? Am I here just to suffer?
Lane loves us.
If there was any
wait.
proof that the people in this room
There we
are
go.
not human beings, there you go.
That's all. Actually, I'm out of here. You all have a nice night. Goodbye.
Bye, Lane. See you next week. you pairing up this week, Jose? Kirk and Superman? All right.
I
Thank
think
you
there's
very much.
slash fic like that.
There probably is.
We could do Kirk and the Garden Gnome.
Oh, that's just wrong.
That's just new.
That is just wrong. Okay, so folks at home who are sticking with us for Florida Man, let us queue up our Florida Man stories of the week. Does someone have one ready to
I
go?
have one ready to go.
All right.
Florida man. Florida man badly loses fight with police canine.
Dumbass Florida man.
One could figure that he already lost the fight once he engaged.
Let's see. Here's one that I think was interesting. Florida man, given our topics this week, Florida man flies buy GameStop banner over Miami amid trading frenzy. I'm sure that was a big deal in Miami.
Florida man accused of sex crimes cuts ankle monitor and starts GoFundMe to flee country.
There you go. That is
Florida man.
quintessential Florida man. So, by the way, I don't know if you want to put this up, but there is a photograph of Florida man badly loses fight with police canine. It is not pretty.
Yeah, let's not.
I'll throw it up.
Hold on. Wait. No, Twitch. Yeah. Wait. Okay, let me in Twitch.
Are you doing it?
Yeah, I'm gonna in Twitch. Hold on. Okay, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
He did not do so well.
He looks like he fought the whole pack.
Now, on the plus side, Matt Damon is selling his house in California for $21 million. So
move
good
to New York
for you,
City.
Matt.
I don't think I want to live in either of those places, so
I would. I have. No, I haven't lived in New York City, but I spent a lot of time there.
Florida man.
He's also selling a place in New York City.
No, I thought he was buying a place in New
yeah,
York
he's
City.
buying a place in New York City. Florida man accused of exposing himself to a saleswoman.
That's what I had.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Do you have anything else, son?
I was looking, but yeah.
Okay, well, jump in when you do.
Okay.
Here's one. Video shows Florida man wearing garbage bags, torch waste. Yeah, he was wearing garbage bags and he torched garbage trucks and building.
Dumbass Florida man.
There you go. My favorite one so far is the ankle monitor and GoFundMe.
I will say that if it's a
my.
thing, Arizona man has to be number 2, right behind Florida man, because Arizona has some weird folks.
Arizona.
No, I
man.
think not to belittle your argument there.
Sure.
Raul, I think it's like Brooklyn man is after Florida man.
I would probably agree with that.
I don't know
because I have been to Florida and I have been to Arizona.
Brooklyn man.
And I'm sorry, but Arizona ain't no Florida.
Oh, it is. It is.
It is not.
It is,
So,
sir.
Florida woman and renowned children's author arrested for horrific child abuse.
Oh, that's not pleasant.
Oh, wait. Did you see that? Hold on. This one.
Let's start. It's dark. It's too dark.
Hold on. We this one requires pictures.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Why did you start the creepy music, Justin? Turn it off.
Why not?
That's the Puppet Master stuff.
You have good ear, Raul.
I know bad horror.
I guess you do.
Okay, hold on. I got the picture. Give me a second.
What the hell?
What?
It looks like she beat that child into a broken face.
That's her husband.
What?
What?
Wait.
That is her husband. How big must his dick be?
Oh my god.
Well,
we call
he's definitely
we
not
call
getting
that-
sued.
We
Well,
call
wait.
it compensatory beauty.
So here's the question. How much of that is also husband abuse on top of the child abuse for which he was arrested?
How old is this guy? Because he looks like he's 10.
Oh my god.
It's a Joseph Westfall. It's not saying.
Okay.
I'm not usually anyone to comment on anyone's beauty, but oh my god.
Yes, indeed.
I just his eye is so lazy.
Shit. What the fuck happened there?
His eye is so lazy.
Oh my god, that joke writes
How
itself.
lazy is it?
I just crossed between a Kentuckian and a Florida man.
Okay, I feel like we should move on to another story. So I'm going to propose one. Florida man accused of exposing himself to saleswoman while mattress shopping. Now that by itself is not that interesting, a Florida man story, except that it was a very specific store in Salem, Florida, the Sleep Number store.
Sleep Number, Florida man.
Thank you. He was reportedly wearing very short running shorts and no underwear.
Florida woman accused of stabbing son with ceramic candle.
Oh my god.
Damn, son.
Florida woman has no regrets after she was filmed spewing racist rant at two black men for working.
Wow.
Dark.
So here's an interesting one. Florida woman, ? Addresses neighborhood's traffic issues dressed in drag.
I think that's a great story.
Florida.
It's nice to see RuPaul giving back.
To the community. Let's see. For some reason, it took 4 years to figure this out, but a Florida man was indicted, I guess, by prosecutors in New York and Florida for using Twitter to intimidate 2016 voters. So
Russian Florida man.
sorry, we're a little late.
There's a little bit better. Okay, so there's just a little bit more that you need to know to this drag story.
Yeah.
So the drag name for this lady is Spar Kelly.
That's actually really funny. That is really funny, and I'm glad you found that important detail because that kind of makes that story.
The sign that she holds up during in the neighborhood says, "This is not student pickup, honey."
Oh shit.
Okay.
Well, at least she is conscious of the minors.
I mean, yeah, she is. She is dressed rather modestly for a drag queen. That's credit where credit is due.
Okay, so here's one that's Florida man recently named paramedic of the year turns out to have helped steal COVID-19 vaccines. Oops.
Florida man.
So, Florida man shoots at other Florida man at least 94 times,
Holy crap.
hitting him once in the left buttocks.
She said buttocks.
And hits him only once in the ass. Victim drives himself to the hospital.
What a pain in the ass.
Wow. Okay. This one's just weird. Florida man steals tow truck in act of revenge. Okay.
Revenge against who?
I don't know. It was from Car Store Towing. I'm not quite sure.
Denied.
They probably stole or towed his car and he decided to just
They
steal it.
repossessed his car or something? Yeah.
Now, apparently, pure beluga caviar is banned in the United States, but you can buy it in South Florida.
Not surprised. I come from South Florida. You forget.
I don't forget. I know you did.
Florida man turns in, goes to bed.
Wait, you're talking about yourself, aren't you?
Good night, Jason.
The former Florida man.
Right. Thank you for all your thoughts this week, Jason, and for my great Christmas present of fixing the accented E in your name there, because now I feel
Christmas present? You mean?
Yeah, the only place though that it's still my birthday though is Alaska and Hawaii. So
those don't count.
Those
time to travel.
I wish they're my two last states that I need to go to.
So I had to read to be able to state this headline. Florida man starring in TV series with Florida in the title moves show to Arizona.
Oh, now see, that's a twofer. That is a twofer right there for you.
Victory. Victory, sir.
MTV's Floribama Shore is
What the fuck?
Arizona and Montana.
That sounds like a hickerbilly of a show right there. You got Florida, Bama, and everything all together. Yeah, that just sounds like it's going to be a fun show. And it's in Arizona.
I'm telling you, it's weird. I've been here 14 years, and it's bizarre.
Ain't nothing more bizarre than living in the South.
Well, one Florida man says that he was happy to be a part of history, quote unquote, during the U.S. Capitol siege.
Dumbass.
Oh, well, have the cops just go right to his house.
Dumbass Florida man.
Give me just a minute. There was so this is a non-Florida man story. This is it's another country story, but I thought it was important considering what we've been dealing with. So let me scroll and find it.
Justin, you okay? You holding up?
Dude, I napped, thank God, before tonight because we're going on almost 3.5 hours.
Okay, while you're prepping your thing, I will read this quick one, just because it's so funny. Florida man busted for being a beer bandit.
Florida man.
He apparently 7 thefts of booze in Fort Lauderdale, and so he's busted for being a beer bandit.
Okay, here we go. Amid shortage, Ecuador police bust clinic giving thousands of fake COVID vaccines.
Ooh.
Not surprised.
They just busted someone here for trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, not surprised. People will take advantage of the desperate.
Yeah,
a lot of desperate people wanting to get.
This gets
back
more
to
sad
life.
than funny, to be honest, guys.
And just remember, please take the official state and government sources on any vaccine-related news. Do not listen to an individual. Please do not. Please
don't.
Go to some official sources.
Mm-hmm.
See your doctor first.
Yes. Do not go to anybody else other than your doctor and the state. If it's a website that's a .com, .net, ignore it. Stick with .gov, please.
All right, good advice. Thank you. Anybody else? Son, are you still working on yours?
Let's see. I think we talked about the naked Florida man that stole and crashed a police car.
That just seems like every day in Florida.
Florida man pets great white shark. There's that. Well, here you go. This one's political. Florida man opens the office of the former president. That's a thing that happened this last week.
Oh no, son, you did not. Yeah, I feel like I was shocked.
Okay, I've been reading this Chief O'Brien at Work thing, and it is hilarious.
It is. It just draws you in.
Okay,
It really does. It really does.
One after the other, and you almost start to feel sorry for him. And then yeah.
Okay, did you guys share this one? Florida man arrested, accused of smashing Taco Bell burritos in wife's face.
Oh,
Ooh.
God. What a
will say
poor waste of what a poor waste of burrito.
I will say this, and that is that now you've made me hungry for tacos.
Being smashed in your face. No,
just it's like this.
Yeah, that's
You're
the same process.
You're talking to Carlos. That would excite him.
Speaking of fast food, I tried Pizza Hut's new Detroit style pizza.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Okay, so basically it's their their original style pan thing, but it's square or rectangle shaped. And so it's got extra cheese on it, like a lot of extra cheese, to the point it comes out to the end of the crust. And then
in my mind, the ideal pizza achieves this balance between sauce and cheese. And if you go too far one way or the other, it's no longer
Look at. Well, here's the thing. The top of the pizza, after they put the cheese and stuff on it, they top it with crushed tomato sauce. So it's not their marinara sauce; it's crushed tomato sauce, and it really mellows out their marinara sauce.
Oh, so it's both the marinara and the crushed tomatoes.
Right. The crushed tomato is on top of it, kind of like a final
I would
sauce.
give that a try. I would give that a try.
Sounds good.
It's really
when
good.
you first said Detroit style, all I could think about was that you get a pizza that's only half the pizza. It's a terrible joke on the state of Detroit. I apologize. Detroit.
Yeah, sorry, Detroit. You brought this shit on yourself.
I wonder if they've got it in yet. No, it looks
I did see a story about that earlier. I just didn't. That basically said, "What the hell is a Detroit style?" But I didn't get a chance to explore it further. But okay, you guys are welcome to stick around. I am yawning a lot, so I think that means it's time for me to get to bed.
Yep.
And
Good night, Carlos.
Thank you for everything. I forgot to tell you guys what my birthday present that I got. That I'm very excited about. I got a new drone, which I will be flying.
Make
soon.
sure you read up on. Oh yeah, they do got it here. Okay.
Wait. Is that an official thing, or is it just a regular? Okay, I think
a regular hobbyist drone.
Watch your laws locally.
Yeah,
of course. I know.
Okay, so
come on, like I wouldn't do research.
Exactly.
This is an interesting headline. I had to click the link to read more. Florida man sends letter to IOC president, asks Tokyo Olympics be relocated to Sunshine State.
I would love it.
I would think very close to saying they're not going to have it at all, ever. They're just going to skip ahead to the next one, and then Tokyo will be put in line for whatever the next open slot is.
So
I know Tokyo is
not happy.
The Florida
man
Tokyo. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, son.
The Florida man in question is Florida CFO Jimmy Patronis. Which, I mean, it sounds like he should be in a Harry Potter movie.
Indeed.
Speaking of which, you're remaking it. They're doing a Harry Potter TV show.
You know, we didn't get to that. And unfortunately, I did want to go to that one, but we were running out of time. But we can talk about it briefly now. It turns out that as quickly as HBO Max acknowledged that they are in development for a Harry Potter TV series, they didn't go into any detail about when it's set, what time period or anything, or if it's a remake or whatever. A lot of people complained because, of course, it's giving J.K. Rowling a platform that they don't think she deserves anymore, given her controversial stance on trans rights. And so HBO Max is now sort of backpedaling on the whole Harry Potter series. So it may not happen.
I'm sorry, I won't complain because okay, the Harry Potter, it was the thing that it came, it saw, it conquered. It don't need to be sprung back again. It was a universe was told. Let it go. We saw what happened. We tried to force feed it a franchise. It doesn't turn out good.
I don't understand when the death of the author stopped being a thing.
What do you mean?
Well, it's like, oh God, what's that guy's name? The director guy that married the 14-year-old.
Oh, Roman Polanski?
Yeah, that guy. It's like people will still watch his movies, but they want to see him brought to justice, right? You can disagree with J.K. Rowling and still enjoy the Harry Potter franchise.
Yeah.
Sure. I think so. I mean, but I think the point is they don't want to enrich her anymore.
She would have to get
She did a lot of charity before she spouted that awful shit.
Yeah, she did.
She was an amazing philanthropist.
Yeah,
she still does charity.
Yes, she still does what she can, but who accepts her anyway? But I don't know. It seemed like such a silly move on her part. Even if you had these ideas, why would you spill them?
Strident about it. That's the thing that freaks me out.
I think a lot of it has to do with. She just. I mean, of all the shit that's been going on with the woke crowd, the anti-woke crowd, and all this kind of shit, she probably got radicalized somewhere with like some of her close circle being trans, and she just got radicalized and spouted off at the mouth, kind of like what was his name?
I agree with you. That is probably exactly what happened. But this wasn't just a mouth spout. This has been like an ongoing campaign. Like she's authored entire articles and op-ed pieces on this. So it's not like just a slip of the tongue.
Oh no,
she's trying to articulate a vision in which trans people don't have rights.
I haven't seen anything like that, but okay.
She published a whole op-ed about it
in the Guardian, I believe.
Yeah. No, it was
horrific. I'll be very honest.
To detail,
I'm never for the death of a popularity of an author, but oh my god, just unbelievable.
All right,
he's doubled and tripled down on this.
She's not going away from this.
We're going on 4 hours.
Okay, yeah, you are right. We're 15 minutes away from that. Okay, I promise I am leaving. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week. Raul, you're always welcome. So thank you for joining us this week. And see you around the chat, folks.
See ya.